A divine request abducted Kang Hanbit from his normal life and threw him straight into the perishing realm of Erfurt. To save this dying world, our hero pushed his body beyond all human limits, slaughtering armies of monsters and carving through mountains of colossal dragons. Yet winning the war comes at a devastating cost. With arrows buried deep into his shoulder and blood soaking his cloak, the battle-worn warrior staggers across the carnage. His body finally gives out completely, crashing onto the gore-stained earth like garbage. His consciousness begins to slip as his heavy eyelids fall shut. Right as the veteran begs for a moment of peace, a cold system notification chimes inside the quiet void, signaling that death has claimed him once again. The harsh system window displays his brutal track record: 31 regressions, 17 transmigrations, and 7 reincarnations. That is 55 full cycles of endless agony and horrific deaths, leaving our boy utterly traumatized and drained to his core. Suddenly, a divine bare foot disrespectfully pokes his head in the golden space. The entity dismissively remarks that his latest run was quite long, instantly triggering the exhausted warrior's explosive temper. Blinding light erupts across the realm as the goddess of Erfurt unveils her celestial form. But despite her heavenly appearance, she looks down at him with cold detachment, offering zero gratitude for the blood he spilled in her name. When she casually asks if he wants to try reincarnation next, the battle-hardened hero snaps completely. He drops to his knees and screams at the top of his lungs, refusing to play her twisted game for another single second. This expressionless entity standing before him is the divine goddess who kidnapped Kang Hanbit from his normal life. Without a word of warning, she dragged our boy straight into another world, ordering him to save Erfurt and thrusting him directly into an endless nightmare. What followed was absolute, unmitigated hell. Across 55 brutal cycles, the exhausted warrior was torn apart, crushed, and slaughtered in every horrifying way imaginable, all while failing to find even a single clue about what Erfurt actually was. Pushed far past his emotional breaking point, our traumatized hero screams directly into her face, refusing to die for her twisted game ever again. But the cold deity casually dismisses his anguish, claiming his body and mind were fully restored after every single demise. Sure, her divine magic stitched his severed limbs back together after every death, but it couldn't erase the terrifying memories of dying 55 times. Those unbearable phantom pains keep relentlessly gnawing away at what little sanity he has left. When she nonchalantly asks if he wants to prepare for the next regression, the enraged warrior completely snaps and tells her to screw off. The deity retorts with a deadpan joke, leaving the exhausted fighter utterly stunned by her cold detachment. Before he can lose his sanity entirely, the divine entity drops a massive bombshell. She gazes down at him and reveals that he has done his best, officially declaring that he is qualified to finally return to his original world. Our boy can barely believe his ears, stunned that it's over despite failing 55 times. The goddess calmly explains that the process mattered far more than the results, raising her glowing hand to send him back home immediately. Before Kang Hanbit can demand any real answers about his mission, glowing divine magic swallows his fading body. The furious veteran screams at the goddess for kicking him out without an explanation, but she merely gazes down with cold detachment, wishing him luck back in his original world. Our boy opens his eyes in his old bedroom with a throbbing headache right as his mother calls out that she's leaving for work. 18 full months have passed since his sudden return to reality, and he is only now slowly rebuilding his ordinary memories after enduring 55 horrific lifetimes in another realm. Stepping into the quiet, sunlit living room, he pours a cold glass of water while glaring bitterly at the laundry basket full of military camouflage. See, that damn goddess abducted him the day before his enlistment, forcing him to complete his mandatory military service the moment he returned home. When counting all his previous regressions and reincarnations, this was actually his 6th time completing military service. The battle-worn hero slumps heavily into a chair, completely overwhelmed by the daunting challenge of readapting to everyday civilian life and hunting for corporate internships. Just as he sighs about how bleak his modern future feels, his smartphone begins vibrating wildly on the table. The exhausted warrior groans and sits up to grab the device, wondering who could possibly be spamming his inbox so early in the morning. It's a text message from his junior asking if he's coming out to drink again tonight. Hanbit shoots back a message saying he's old and utterly drained, but when his buddy taunts him for chickening out, our boy's explosive temper instantly ignites. Despite his foul mood, our exhausted hero softens up when thinking about his military junior who helped him readjust to everyday civilian life. When the kid texts offering a special discharge gift, the battle-worn veteran gets surprisingly curious about what his friend bought him. Meeting up at a local cafe, our boy sits down with Ju-Yeon Woo, a younger military senior who backed him up during his service. The moment the kid tries to tease him and stall on handing over the promised present, the impatient warrior immediately gets up to walk out. Panicking, Yeon-Woo quickly pulls out a Level 2 membership card for a massively popular virtual reality game called Record Project. He hands over the high-grade pass, explaining it grants full home gear access and high-level system synchronization. The second Yeonwoo boasts that the card is worth a staggering 5 million won. The battle-hardened hero instantly adopts a serious pose and offers to serve as his personal bodyguard. But the kid declines, revealing he starts a new job tomorrow to support his family. Hanbit completely agrees with his decision, emphasizing that earning real cash for survival takes absolute priority over playing foolish video games. But when his junior teasingly claims he has zero romance in his soul, the battle-worn fighter's volatile temper immediately ignites. Our enraged hero violently grabs the poor kid by his hair, aggressively shouting whether romance or gaming puts food on the table. Screaming in agony, Yeonwoo desperately yells that top players can earn hundreds of millions of won, causing the money-obsessed veteran to freeze dead in his tracks. The second money enters the conversation, our money-obsessed hero discards every ounce of pride, clasping his hands and respectfully begging his junior for every detail. Yeonwoo explains that Record Project was created by the elite gaming studio Team Zero. A shockwave recently shattered the industry when Team Zero's late founder left behind a jaw-dropping will. The first player to clear Record Project inherits total ownership of the entire multi-billion-dollar company. That unimaginable prize sent in-game currency soaring, triggering a massive gold rush among global corporations. Smelling a massive fortune, the battle-tested veteran immediately agrees to give the game a shot, sending his junior into a hype frenzy. Without wasting another second, Yeonwoo drags our eager hero out of the cafe to get him geared up. Arriving at the massive event hall, the veteran warrior stares in absolute disbelief at the suffocating sea of gamers packing the venue, but his buddy casually laughs off the madness, claiming local crowds pale in comparison to international turnouts. Rushing forward, the impatient fighter aggressively grabs his friend by the collar to steer through the wall of bodies. Yeonwoo warns him that Record Project is brutally unforgiving, insisting he purchase an official starter guidebook before attempting to play. He hands over a rare manual written by a famous player known only as Adventurer A. The kid swears that without this crucial guide, even veteran gamers would rage quit within minutes. Skeptical, our battle-hardened hero flips open the manual to inspect the strategies himself before spending a single credit. But the second his eyes scan the text, divine light erupts from the pages, leaving him utterly frozen in shock. As divine magic erupts from the guidebook, the phantom image of the goddess looms over the pages. Our battle-worn hero stares in total horror as her cryptic words echo, realizing this video game is directly connected to finding the realm of Erfurt. A chilling realization hits Hanbit like a freight train. The goddess never intended to set him free after 55 agonizing regressions. She simply moved the battleground to his home world. Our boy grips the ancient-looking guidebook so violently his knuckles turn white, snapping back to reality only when his clueless friend yells his name out loud. Shaking off the initial shock, Hanbit points straight to the manual and demands answers about the developers, Team Zero. His buddy admits that while everyone knows the brand, the company is shrouded in total secrecy, run solely by a mysterious CEO while hiding their developers' identities. That suspicious setup confirms our hero's worst fears. The goddess is pulling the strings from the shadows. Traumatic memories flash before his eyes in vivid detail. The apocalyptic battlefield, the sickening revulsion of taking his first life, and the brutal pain of dying over and over weren't just a bad dream. He bled, suffered, and died 55 brutal times in that hellscape, feeling every shred of agony right down to his bones. Each time he perished, that arrogant deity looked down on him, declaring failure and sending him right back into the slaughterhouse. Standing at a crossroads, our veteran returnee questions if he is insane for stepping willingly back into the fire. But running away is no longer an option when vengeance is on the line. Deciding to face his torment head-on, Hanbit prepares his access card while his friend takes his smartphone to set up the necessary game applications. The situation gets tense when his buddy suddenly points out how crumpled and worn his precious guidebook is, causing our boy to frantically guard his only source of tactical intelligence. His friend waves goodbye, promising to meet him online as soon as possible. Hanbit flashes a fake smile and laughs it off, hiding his overwhelming tension while waiting for his VR hardware to drop. The trap is set, and the moment his equipment arrives, our general is jumping straight into enemy territory. The massive delivery package finally lands right at Hanbit's front door. Hauling the $5,000 virtual reality console inside, our boy drags the box into his room, fully aware that this expensive rig is his only way to expose the goddess's sinister hidden agenda. Taking zero chances with real-world interruptions, Hanbit locks his bedroom door tightly before securing the glowing control cuffs around his wrists and ankles. Lying flat on his bed, he fits the heavy visor over his eyes, letting the system scan his biometric signature and brainwaves to establish a full neural link. Materializing inside the digital lobby, our boy is stunned by how shockingly real his virtual avatar feels under the sensory gear. But when he attempts to open the customization window to disguise his appearance, the settings completely fail to appear. Suspecting a bug, the little general reaches out to press the emergency exit button. Panic surges through Hero as the system forcefully aborts character creation, declaring that an active character profile already occupies the account. Hambit clutches his head as digital corruption washes over him, overwriting his avatar and manifesting his original returnee armor and combat gear directly onto his body. The blinding transition fades, spawning him onto the wooden docks of Port City Edlin. Clad in his full equipment with a steel blade resting at his hip, the battle-hardened veteran gazes across the sunlit harbor, confirming his worst fear. He has been dragged straight back into the starting zone of Erfurt. Staring into his reflection on the wooden dock, Hambit is horrified to see the exact gear and blood-spattered face from his agonizing 55th regression. The horrifying reality hits our boy like a blade to the chest. This isn't just a simple virtual avatar, but a silent, mocking command from the goddess forcing him to repeat his nightmare from square one. As burning rage surges through his veins, a sudden system chime breaks his dark concentration. A non-stop stream of annoying messages floods his vision from an account named Loafer. Our boy sighs in disbelief, instantly recognizing his buddy Yeonwoo, and fumbles with the unfamiliar game interface to process the friend request. Right on cue, a flashy blonde avatar adorned with sparkling fairy wings materializes right behind him with a loud shout. Hambit turns around, immediately recognizing his buddy's voice, though the absurdly glamorous customization leaves our battle-hardened general completely speechless at the ridiculous display. Yeonwoo wastes zero time teasing him, asking why he customized his avatar to look identical to his real-world self. Our hero stammers out a weak excuse, but when his buddy asks about his username, Hambit taps his character info window to inspect what ridiculous handle the system assigned him. To his pure embarrassment, the status window displays the ultimate edgelord handle, Black Dragon. As Yeonwoo bursts into uncontrollable laughter, our enraged general grabs the blonde by his hair, frantically demanding to change it. But his friend wheezes out that usernames are permanently hard-coded into biometric data and cannot be altered. Ready to lose his mind from maximum cringe, our boy snaps and puts the wheezing blonde into a vicious chokehold to stop the relentless mockery. Suffocating under the hold, Yeonwoo taps out frantically and begs him to check his incoming system alerts before he does any real physical damage. Hambit releases his grip and opens the glowing blue notification window. To his absolute shock, a prompt appears asking to simultaneously broadcast his gameplay directly onto Loafer's livestream. The little general glares at his friend, realizing the guy is about to expose his entire returnee battle standard to a massive online audience. Loafer lays out his grand money-making scheme, explaining that Erfurt features a built-in streaming platform called Recorder that allows players to broadcast their live adventures. To sweeten the deal and get his reluctant partner on board, the cheeky blonde promises an equal 50-50 profit split, even offering to hand over 60% of the revenue if their broadcast takes off. Our battle-hardened general glares in utter disgust at the ridiculous proposal, but with real-world cash on the line, he reluctantly accepts the financial terms. Before he can even process the agreement, his over-enthusiastic buddy slings an arm around his neck, dragging him directly into the recording frame to launch the stream. The broadcast goes live, and Loafer proudly introduces his new partner to the digital audience under the assigned handle Black Dragon. The chat room immediately erupts with ruthless mockery, roasting his edgelord title and sending our boy into a rage-filled blush. Yeonwoo frantically whispers for him to suppress his temper, reminding his furious friend that enduring the online trolls is the only way to secure their paycheck. Desperate to move past the embarrassing chatter, Hambit demands their next tactical objective. Yeonwoo instructs him to open the system's skill recommendation interface, which scans player biometrics to suggest 3 beginner abilities like fire magic, alchemy, or basic swordsmanship. As the icons light up, our veteran returnee quietly hopes the game system recognizes the massive arsenal of combat techniques he mastered across 55 agonizing regressions. Without hesitating, our boy reaches out and taps the glowing card to trigger the biometric evaluation, while his curious friend leans over his shoulder, eager to see what beginner-class options pop up. Suddenly, a blinding shockwave of cyan light explodes across the harbor docks. Instead of displaying 3 basic starter options, the system completely overloads, unleashing a massive cascading avalanche of glowing skill cards that fills the entire sky. Both boys stand completely paralyzed in sheer disbelief, staring at a game-breaking anomaly that proves our returnee's terrifying hidden potential. A violent burst of magical radiance erupts across the interface as a massive grid of glowing skill cards materializes in midair. Our boy and his wide-eyed partner freeze in complete astonishment, staring up at an unheard-of volume of high-tier options suddenly surging onto the screen right in front of them. The live stream chat instantly turns into a toxic war zone, demanding a ban for illegal hacks, while his teammate pivots in sheer disbelief. As our veteran player acts completely clueless, the blonde kid loses his absolute mind, screaming at the top of his lungs that these aren't normal recommendations. They're ultra-rare hidden skills. While his hyperactive partner drools over the impossible odds and unfamiliar icons, our 9-year regression master stays completely composed. What looks like alien, game-breaking magic to everyone else is fully mapped in his head, learned through 55 grueling lifetimes surviving every hidden mechanic this deadly realm can throw at him. Without wasting a single second, our protagonist reaches out to lock in his choice. Securing a god-tier loadout right from step 1 gives him a massive tactical shortcut, creating the perfect foundation to rebuild his power far faster than any normal player. See, after suffering through 55 horrific deaths under the goddess's sadistic reign, he thought his nightmare ended when he got sent home, only to discover this streaming game is that exact same world. He will use this growth to uncover every difference in this timeline and expose what sinister plot that yellow-eyed deity is hiding. He selects Fire Attribute Magic for its overwhelming destructive output, keeping his early combat strategy aggressive and effective. But before he can map out his next move, his clueless companion cuts into his focus, addressing him by his stream handle Yanwu to ask where they can grab their very first quest. His partner nearly flips out the moment he selects magic, while the live stream chat erupts into toxic roasts, calling it a completely dead-end build. Our 9-year regression veteran stays totally composed, looking back at his teammate in genuine confusion to ask why everyone considers Arcana to be absolute garbage. The hyperactive streamer hurriedly steps in to explain the realm's punishing mechanics. Unlike straightforward physical skills, magic proficiency is a total grind to cultivate, keeping your numerical progress completely hidden from view until you finally unlock a star mark. Those words immediately spark bitter memories from Hambit's previous lifetimes. He vividly recalls the brutal reality of his 55 regressions, where mastering magic demanded relentless dedication, immense natural talent, and finding a high-ranking master who could properly train your mana control. So when our boy calmly asks where he can find a personal master to choose from, his partner panics and covers his mouth to calm the audience down. The streamer quickly intervenes before the live chat completely loses its mind over his partner's baffling lack of basic game knowledge. He clarifies that while local NPCs possess surprisingly high artificial intelligence, none of them actually teach skills directly. Instead, players are required to clear specific quests and achievements to instantly receive automated skill books that teach skills on the spot. Processing this information, Hanbit marvels at how much more convenient this world has become compared to his past horrors. Back in his former life, learning even basic spells meant enduring grueling physical torture under a ruthless female master who forced him to train until his body collapsed. Without wasting a single breath, our veteran player turns and strides directly toward the general store. His partner stammers in complete shock at how a supposed beginner knows the exact path, only for Hanbit to casually reveal that he already knows the shopkeeper Julio is an ugly swindler. The streamer squints in total bewilderment, asking why they would ever visit a swindler if their goal is to obtain proper magic books. But our hero doesn't back down, loudly declaring that the merchant is pure evil and that buying standard items from him is a total scam. Just as they discuss their plans, a donation notification pops up on screen, thanking a viewer named Julio for a 1001 tip. The hyperactive streamer bursts into celebration, eagerly explaining that Hanbit gets a direct cut of the revenue. Hanbit stares in genuine wonder at realizing this stream can generate real-world cash, though he quickly questions why his partner gets so hyped over such a tiny amount. The streamer proudly defends it, insisting that every small donation is essential business. Our 9-year regression master takes that logic to a ruthless extreme, cold-heartedly stating that if his partner in 1001 bill were drowning, he would rescue the money first. The terrified streamer screams in complete horror at his teammates' ruthless financial priorities. Refocusing on their quest, the streamer pulls up the town map to mark the path toward Julio's shop for basic fire spells. But our 9-year regression veteran completely ignores the waypoint, pulling up a glowing character interface of a blonde mage named Oxspell to ask where he can locate this specific master. His partner freezes in total speechlessness, staring wide-eyed at the card before desperately warning Hanbit that the toxic live chat will trash him for forced roleplay. He hurriedly breaks down the harsh game lore, clarifying that Oxspell isn't a trainable magic master at all, but a notorious scammer NPC who commits grand theft, gets thrown in jail, and permanently vanishes from the storyline. Even after hearing the tragic story, our boy stubbornly insists on finding Oxspell first. But as the stream chat grows increasingly annoyed with his bizarre persistence, Hanbit calmly changes tactics, agreeing to follow the crowd's advice and head straight for Julio's establishment. The live stream instantly erupts into wild high-stakes bets, with viewers wagering 10,001 that Julio is a legitimate merchant while threatening to force an embarrassing penalty dance if Hanbit is proven wrong. Unfazed by the chat's demands, our regression master smirks with absolute confidence, recalling his intense military service training and welcoming the chance to expose the swindler while pocketing easy cash. Ignoring the standard route, our 9-year regression master takes the lead and heads straight down an unmapped side alley. When his bewildered streamer teammate panics and asks how a supposed first-time player could possibly know such a precise shortcut through the city, our boy casually brushes it off as nothing more than a hunch. The duo arrives directly outside Julio's establishment, looking through the front window to see the merchant standing behind his counter with a greedy, hand-rubbing smile. Standing right at the doorstep, our protagonist locks his gaze on the merchant, fully prepared to settle an old score from his former lifetimes. The mere sight of Julio's cheerful face causes Hambit's fist to clench with pure rage as dark, painful memories come flooding back. In his previous 55 regressions, getting scammed by this exact swindler landed our hero inside a bleak prison cell, left kneeling in total agony behind iron bars. Unaware of Hambit's traumatic past, his partner urgently warns him about the game's extreme NPC freedom, explaining that messing with non-player characters carries severe consequences. He cautions that reckless behavior can permanently block essential quest lines or throw an unsuspecting player straight into jail. Hearing about jail time only fuels the 9-year veteran's fiery indignation. With a dark, menacing aura washing over his face and pure fury burning in his glowing eyes, our boy takes heavy, deliberate steps forward, fully intent on delivering his own ruthless brand of justice. Our protagonist flings the shop doors wide open with overwhelming force, barging inside with an aggressive, towering posture that commands the entire room. The merchant beams warmly and delivers a cheerful customer greeting, completely blind to the terrifying shadow marching straight toward his desk. Before the merchant can finish his sentence, our 9-year menace lunges across the counter and grabs Julio viciously by the tie, yanking him into a terrifying face-to-face standoff. With demonically glowing eyes and an enraged scowl, our veteran roars directly into the swindler's sweating face, calling him a hopeless piece of trash. Inside the general store, our boy aggressively pins down the shopkeeper without hesitation, leaving onlookers outside completely stunned. Chat explodes in utter disbelief, trembling with panic and predicting the stream moderators will hand out an instant ban for pulling such an unhinged maneuver right in town. Cold sweat pours down the merchant's face as he frantically begs the 9-year veteran to loosen his grip, whimpering that he thought the customer just wanted a simple spellbook. Hambit maintains a terrifying, unyielding glare before finally slapping the panicked clerk's hands away. Desperate to defuse the violent situation, the shady merchant apologizes profusely and claims the last spellbook was already sold moments ago. He quickly pivots to save his skin, offering to introduce our protagonist to another shopkeeper who has one, provided he completes a personal favor first. Reaching into his pocket, the storekeeper produces a glowing red pendant as alleged evidence, claiming a thief stealthily robbed his shop while he was dozing off. He places the blame entirely on his rival merchant Oxbell, begging our hero to track her down and apprehend her. A system quest window pops up, promising 100 gold and a spellbook introduction letter for capturing Oxbell, but our boy turns his back with total contempt, instantly seeing right through the merchant's fake smile and recognizing this contract as a toxic trap disguised as a quest. See, way back in his very first playthrough, Oxbell was actually Hanbit's real magic teacher and greatest benefactor. But simply for studying under her guidance, he was framed as her criminal accomplice, bound in heavy iron chains and thrown into a bleak prison cell to rot. It was this exact greedy rat who engineered the whole betrayal back then, setting him up for the armed Imperial guards to lock him away. Standing right in front of his past oppressor, our boy realizes the villain is attempting to play the exact same scam twice. Back in his first playthrough, fabricated evidence and bribed guards guaranteed no defense could save him. Ulrio's scam was engineered to lock away both him and Oxbell forever, seizing her magic store in the process. Remembering that bitter past, our boy clenches his fist tightly as the crook tries the same trick. When the slimy merchant smirks and asks for his final answer, Hanbit doesn't even waste his breath replying. He pushes straight past the counter and heads directly into the shop's hidden storage, ignoring his party members' panicked screams as he barges right past the owner. Reaching right into a hidden compartment beneath the wooden floorboards, our protagonist grabs the exact pouch of glowing jewels the merchant claimed a thief had stolen moments ago. Holding the heavy bag high into the air, the 9-year-old menace calls out the lying bastard on the spot. A brand new system window pops up instantly, presenting a hidden quest to apprehend the scammer Ulrio for a hefty 500 gold reward. The stream chat erupts in shock after realizing it was a trick all along, while the exposed merchant drops his fake smile and glares back. Before the fraud can even finish shouting at him to leave, our boy launches a brutal high kick straight into his jaw. The violent impact shatters the merchant's teeth and sends the heavy scammer flying backward, crashing like trash into a pile of wooden crates. As his companion stands paralyzed in utter horror, the loud violence brings an armed Imperial guard bursting through the enchantress to inspect the chaos. But instead of panicking over pulling an unhinged maneuver, our veteran calmly closes his eyes as a system cutscene begins. As the system forces the game into an automated cinematic, the guards immediately pin down and bind the weeping merchant in tight iron ropes. Ulrio desperately whimpers his innocence, but the guards drag the guilty merchant away to pay for his crimes. The corrupt merchant screams his innocence as Imperial guards drag him away and slam him behind heavy iron bars. Trapped inside the cell, Ulryo wails in total misery, completely powerless to stop his sudden downfall. Watching the automated system cutscene wrap up, our boy reflects on the stark difference between a video game and his past reality. In his true first regression, there were no free automated scenes. He had to physically carve his way through swarms of bribed Imperial guards just to hand the crook over. The 9-year-old menace lets out a weary sigh as the system clears the hidden quest, rewarding him 500 gold while pointing toward his teacher's shop. Before he can even move, his hyperactive party member rushes up in utter disbelief, grabbing him and demanding to know how he knew about the hidden pouch. Realizing he can't possibly explain 55 cycles of regression, Lil Bro frantically racks his brain to cook up a fake excuse on the spot. Laughing awkwardly, our protagonist claims the entire incident was identical to an out-of-print fantasy novel he read long ago. Remarkably, the naive teammate swallows the absurd lie whole, remembering how the veteran constantly rambled about web novels back during their military service. When an anonymous 10,001 donation flashes across the stream, the hype man celebrates in pure excitement. He proudly boasts to the viewers, hyping up our boy's terrifying deduction skills and declaring that his brutal punch would have made anyone look guilty anyway. Watching the chat instantly flip from calling for a ban to showering him with praise, the little general sweat drops at the sheer absurdity of stream culture. Realizing he has no talent for entertaining viewers, Hanbit decides to leave the broadcast entirely to his talkative companion, turning his attention toward finding Oxbel's magic store. As they walk down the sunlit path, Yeonwoo rambles about how regular players always trigger Oxbel's arrest, causing her NPC profile to vanish permanently from the world map. Hanbit's eyes darken with disgust, realizing how the game's corrupt quest system tricked countless players into framing his actual magic teacher. See, way back in his original regression, Oxbel was his sole sanctuary in a harsh world. Though she acted tough and forced him to haul heavy crates so he wouldn't freeload, she worried whenever he came back injured and ultimately handed over a spellbook so he could master real magic. When Ulryo's scheme framed them both, she ended up locked behind iron bars. Yet even while trapped inside the cell, she kept a proud, reassuring smile, telling our boy to keep his head high while promising to punish the rat. But before she could escape, dark flames engulfed the prison, burning his teacher alive. Standing right outside her shop in this new timeline, our boy hesitates, his gloved hand pausing on the wooden door handle. The memory of that horrific death still haunts him, but taking a steady, resolute breath, the 9-year-old menace pushes the door open and steps through the threshold. Inside the quiet magic shop, the sharp-eyed merchant sits lazily at her desk, resting her cheek against her hand. Hearing the door open, she casually turns her eyes toward the entrance, intrigued to see an unfamiliar customer stepping inside. Not recognizing him in this fresh cycle, she sizes up the stranger across the counter, asking if he came seeking her out by name. Staring at his beloved mentor alive and well once again, Lil Bro's stoic expression softens into a warm smile as he prepares to reunite with his greatest ally. Flashing a confident smile, our boy boldly asks to study magic under her personal guidance. Surprised by such an aggressive request from a complete stranger, Oxbel steps away from her desk and flatly refuses to train a random beginner who just walked in. The returning veteran fully anticipated her cold rejection, but he already engineered the perfect solution by putting the corrupt shopkeeper behind bars earlier. As the stream chat erupts in utter shock over seeing his teacher alive, the 9-year-old menace smirks in total confidence. Before he can even explain, Oxbel leans over the counter to inspect him up close. Her eyes light up with sudden realization as she points straight at Lil Bro, asking if he happens to be the notorious player known as the Black Dragon. The sharp shopkeeper instantly connects the dots, recognizing our boy as Black Dragon and realizing Yulio tried to frame him. She sighs in utter disgust, slamming Yulio as a piece of trash who was bound to cause trouble. Relieved to avoid a disaster, she genuinely thanks our hero for stepping up. She admits that without his intervention, Yulio's scheme would have caused a massive headache. Hanbit brushes it off with a smug grin, admitting he despises that scumbag just as much. The two lean in and roast Yulio's face together, forming an instant bond over mutual hatred. Shifting focus to business, she assumes he came searching for a rare spellbook, but our regressor catches her off guard, crossing his arms and revealing her true secret: she is actually searching for a cure. Stunned by his sharp deduction from the medical notes on her desk, she flinches when our boy offers to help. Biting her lip in skepticism, she questions if he knows anything about actual medicine. Hanbit stands his ground with supreme confidence, prompting her to test his knowledge. She asks for the name of a deadly disease causing blue pupils and severe vomiting, but our boy coolly admits he doesn't know the name. Her body trembles with rage as dark memories resurface. She has been scammed countless times by self-proclaimed experts who turned out to be frauds, pushing her patience to the limit. See, Atsbal has been burned too many times by greedy scam artists who line their pockets with bogus diagnoses. She has watched endless promises turn straight into poison, draining her savings and leaving her utterly furious at anyone claiming to possess medical answers. But our boy catches her completely off guard by accurately listing the patient's exact symptoms. He points out that recovery magic fails completely and the victim loses all appetite. The shopkeeper freezes in disbelief, her hands trembling uncontrollably as she realizes he actually understands the condition. She lunges forward and grabs him by the arms, frantically demanding to know if he can cure it. Hanbit coolly admits the illness has no official name, but guarantees he knows the exact remedy. Overwhelmed with relief, she begs the regressor to save her mother and promises a massive reward. Our main man gives her a confident grin and promises to retrieve the medicine without fail. Instantly, a hidden quest notification flashes before him, offering massive gold, bonus stat points, and a guaranteed hero-tier fireball spellbook upon completion. The live stream chat instantly explodes in hype over the absurd hero rank item reward. But back in the real world, our hero's mother steps into his room to nag him about his upcoming company internship in Songdo, warning him to wake up early and stop skipping breakfast. When Lil Bro tries to make excuses about eating a chocolate parfait, his mom shuts him down and slams the door shut. Collapsing onto his bed, our regressor checks the clock and realizes he needs to call it a night before his first day of work. Meanwhile, back inside the virtual world, his party member Yan Wu is losing his mind in total panic as thousands of new viewers flood into the stream. Screaming over the chat chaos, the young fighter frantically turns to Hanbit and asks where they should head next. Before Hanbit can give an order, a sudden violent chest pain rips through his body, forcing him to double over in agony. Yan Wu rushes to his side in terror, but digital distortion lines begin glitching across our hero's avatar. His mom is unplugging his VR gear in reality. Back inside the virtual realm, our hero's avatar instantly vanishes without a trace, leaving his party member standing completely alone and bewildered in the middle of the empty plaza. The stream chat instantly explodes into absolute chaos, mercilessly roasting the legendary player for suffering the ultimate gaming disaster, getting hit by total mom aggro. In the real world, Hanbit breaks into a nervous sweat as his mother stands over him, radiating a terrifying aura that completely eclipses any virtual monster. Furiously demanding to know why he locked his bedroom door for the first time in his life, she wastes zero time and immediately launches a ruthless physical assault, smacking him repeatedly across the back. Desperate to defuse the domestic emergency, our regressor frantically points to the high-tech VR gear resting on his bed, explaining that Yanwu gifted it to him to celebrate finishing his military service. Hearing this, his mother lowers her guard slightly, admitting she recognizes the famous game from recent news reports and warning him never to play for too long. Hoping to reassure her that he remains a responsible adult, Hanbit casually reveals that his corporate internship in Songdo officially begins tomorrow morning. But discovering that he completed the application process entirely behind her back only triggers round 2 of his mother's fury, earning our hero another severe slap across the back for keeping secrets. Refusing to remain a helpless punching bag, our boy's battle-hardened instincts kick into overdrive as he smoothly parries her incoming palm strike with flawless martial technique. But his mother instantly bypasses his defensive stance with a rapid counterattack, proving that 55 regressions of elite combat training are completely useless against maternal authority. Clutching his head in pure agony, our regressor inwardly groans that surviving his mother's wrath is far more difficult than dueling a top-tier martial arts master. Quickly changing tactics, he assumes a vulnerable posture and emotionally explains that his final college semester is fast approaching, making this internship crucial for securing a real job after graduation. Seeing the genuine concern on his face, his mother finally relents and turns toward the bedroom door to leave him alone. She sternly reminds him to wake up early for his upcoming commute to Songdo, leaving him with one final maternal command never to skip breakfast like he did earlier today. With his quick excuse about a chocolate parfait failing completely, his mother delivers one final scolding before storming off to her room. Collapsing back onto his mattress with a heavy sigh, our regressor checks the clock on the wall and realizes it is past midnight. Knowing his corporate internship starts first thing in the morning, he decides to call it a night. Meanwhile, back inside the virtual realm, total catastrophe erupts as Yanwu is left standing completely stranded amidst thousands of chaotic viewers. Feeling deeply guilty for abandoning his young partner midstream, our regressor can only leave the screaming fighter to endure the absolute madness of the live chat alone. Exhausted after logging out, Hanbit collapses onto his bed in the real world. Glancing over at the wall clock, our boy sighs, knowing his first day as a company intern starts tomorrow. But as he closes his eyes, guilt creeps in. He completely abandons streamer Yeonwoo right in the middle of a live broadcast. Meanwhile, inside the game, complete chaos erupts on stream. The poor host clutches his head in sheer panic as a relentless wave of hyped viewers floods the chat. Everyone is screaming for walkthroughs, compensation rewards, and proof of the unbelievable hero-grade quest our regressor just triggered. Elsewhere, inside the offices of a game workshop, an employee named Kim Jae sits back at his desk. Browsing Korea's top roleplay community, he notices the forums exploding over rumors of a glitch player unlocking legendary skills. But to a seasoned game employee, it all looks like fake news and cheap viral marketing. Inspecting the post further, Jae tries searching for this unknown streamer named Loafer, only to hit a wall. All that comes up are monster listings and references to a partner called Black Dragon, a ridiculous handle that smells like pure teenage cringe. Yet something about the massive commotion keeps pulling at him. Pausing in deep thought, Jae's cynicism turns into sheer curiosity. He slams his arm against the desk and stands up, determined to tune into the live broadcast himself and expose whatever trickery is actually going on. Back in the virtual city, streamer Yeonwoo is sweating bullets in front of his audience. Overwhelmed by demanding questions about his overpowered companion, the desperate host stammers out hilarious cover stories, claiming he and the mysterious master served in the military together just to keep the chat from spiraling. Suddenly, a bright holographic notification pops up right in front of his face. Yeonwoo gasps as his live analytics line spikes violently into the stratosphere. Scrambling to check his stream dashboard, his brain completely short-circuits when he realizes a viral forum post on RPG has turned his obscure channel into a massive sensation. Back inside the virtual world, streamer Yeonwoo gulps in sheer panic as a final blue notification pops up from his overpowered partner. Black Dragon apologizes for logging out early due to his real-world job tomorrow, but he leaves behind one massive game-changing secret. The cure for the Atzval quest can be found from bomb slimes. Realizing this legend-tier secret can save his chaotic broadcast, the desperate host turns around to face his roaring live chat, hyping up the incredible hint to satisfy his demanding audience. Meanwhile, bright morning sun breaks across the city skyline, shifting the battleground from virtual fantasy to real-world corporate survival. Dressed in a sharp dark suit with his shoulder bag ready, our regressor Kang Hanbit arrives outside the towering headquarters of ENK Technologies. Checking his phone screen to double-check the address, he gazes up at the massive office building and pumps himself up with conviction, fully determined to give his absolute best effort on his very first day as a company intern. Stepping through the doors of the fourth-floor office, Hanbit bows politely with a bright, welcoming smile, only to walk headfirst into complete corporate chaos. Desk workers scramble frantically while an overworked manager shouts across the room about unapplied lab revisions. Catching sight of the newcomer standing at the door, the irritated superior turns around in shock, angrily throwing his hands up and venting his frustration over HR failing to notify the team about the intern coming today. Clicking his tongue in annoyance, the manager immediately passes the buck, ordering a senior employee named Lee Minho to take the intern and get the conference room ready. Looking thoroughly exhausted with dark circles around his eyes, Minho greets our boy with a brief handshake and offers assistance. He leads Hanbit down the hall, telling him to drop his bag and follow along while promising to go over the contract paperwork at a later time. Bringing Hanbit inside the conference room, Minho points toward the scribbled whiteboard and assigns him his very first assignment, clearing off all the leftover notes on the board. Showing his reliable work ethic, our eager intern grabs the eraser without any hesitation, immediately scrubbing the board clean to prepare the space for their upcoming company meeting. As Hanbit cleans the board, another employee wearing a white lab coat and holding a coffee cup casually strolls into the room. Stopping dead in his tracks at the unexpected sight, the newcomer sips his hot drink and bluntly questions who this random person is. Minho quickly turns around to clarify that this is the intern he reported a few days ago, prompting our boy to bow politely and introduce himself to his new team leader. Bowing deeply in front of his new team leader, Hanbit respectfully declares his total commitment to learning as much as possible during his internship. But the unbothered boss doesn't care for enthusiasm at all, coldly telling our boy to drop the extra effort and simply do what he is told. Dismissed on the spot, the eager newcomer gets a brutal lesson in corporate reality. Exiting the meeting room, our boy instantly sees right through the company's dysfunctional environment and resolves to focus strictly on self-improvement. Realizing that surviving office politics might actually be just as exhausting as enduring 55 gruesome regressions, he logs back into the virtual world of Erfurt, eager to swap real-world corporate stress for high-stakes gaming action. Materializing back inside the virtual town square, the regressor stretches out his tired neck and apologizes for missing every message during his chaotic first day at work. But before he can even catch his breath, streamer Yeonwoo creeps into his personal space, sporting an unhinged, sparkling grin that leaves our hero thoroughly disturbed by his partner's terrifyingly enthusiastic expression. The frantic streamer pulls up his live dashboard to reveal a mind-blowing achievement. Their stream count has violently exploded past 5,000 active viewers. Capitalizing on the sudden viral explosion, Yeonwoo turns toward his roaring audience and dramatically announces that they are about to begin the impossible Oxbow quest, a feat that no player across the entire server has ever managed to clear. When demanding viewers flood the chat with doubt and toxic threats, the smug streamer laughs right in their faces, mocking the entire chat for their total lack of creativity. He vows to personally demonstrate the secret walkthrough himself, striking a confident pose while our regressor watches from behind, completely ready to back him up if things go south on stream. Marching directly toward the main castle gate, the streamer continues pressing his companion, demanding to know how a supposed beginner holds such absurdly deep game knowledge. Hambit quickly deflects the suspicion using his signature excuse, claiming that reading endless fantasy novels taught him to exploit hidden possibilities within any game that grants players absolute freedom of choice and action. Just as they set off, hostile arguments shatter the atmosphere of the town square, instantly putting our hero on high alert. Turning around to investigate the sudden commotion, the regressor notices a massive mob of angry players gathering in front of them, realizing their peaceful live walkthrough is about to run headfirst into unexpected player trouble. Yanwu quickly realizes this enormous crowd flooded the town square after reading the explosive forum post. But before our duo can take a single step forward, panic shouts shatter the air as players desperately scatter, warning everyone about the sudden arrival of the server's most powerful top-ranking squad, the Vanguard. A suffocating pressure heavy enough to freeze the square descends as the fully geared elite party steps into view. Flanked by holy clerics, lethal hooded assassins, and battle-ready mages, their heavily armored leader stomps forward with terrifying authority. What started as a casual quest walkthrough just turned into a high-stakes standoff against the strongest players in the game. As they march through the sunlit town square, Hambit's companion locks onto him, demanding a real explanation for his absurdly detailed strategy knowledge. But our 55-time regression veteran plays it completely cool, brushing off the kid's suspicion with a slick cover story, claiming he simply read a mountain of fantasy novels back on Earth and took a wild guess. Before the kid can pry any deeper, sharp shouts cut through the market chatter as a massive crowd surges forward in excitement. Hanbit's secret strategy post has spread like wildfire across the player community, drawing eager crowds from every corner of the city as rumors fly that the server's biggest heavy hitters have officially arrived to claim the reward. Stunned murmurs ripple through the mob as heavy steel armor clanks against stone pavement. Stepping into view are members of the legendary Vanguard, an imposing squad of top-tier players featuring a massive armored juggernaut, a solemn cleric, a sleek hooded ranger, and a glittering paladin draped in rare endgame armor that radiates overwhelming combat power. Leaning in close, the kid urgently whispers that the Vanguard represents the absolute top 10,000 rankers out of 300 million players worldwide. In all of Korea, only 500 players claim this elite title, calculated through an aggressive global ranking system that evaluates raw character level, weapon proficiency, and overall campaign progression. Examining the group, Hanbit notices something critical. Despite their high-end equipment, these top rankers haven't even learned basic magic yet. His companion clarifies that most elites bypass spellcasting altogether to prioritize rapid stat grinding and leveling speed, equipping flashy mage avatars purely for aesthetic appeal while completely ignoring the brutal grind needed for true arcane mastery. Hanbit's eyes narrow in deep concentration as his focus locks onto the hooded ranger's shoulder. He instantly recognizes the gleaming golden bird bow, a masterwork weapon forged by a legendary craftsman that he vividly remembers from his previous 55 painful regressions, proving that high-tier artifacts from the real Erfurt are already circulating among high-level players. Realizing these top rankers came all this way specifically for the Axbell quest, Hanbit learns that the vast majority of Vanguard players are under strict corporate contracts. Mega corporations pour massive capital and resources into these elite units to secure exclusive raid clears and monopolize rewards, transforming this virtual world into a cutthroat corporate battlefield. With massive real-world profits driving every elite guild in Erfurt, players are desperate to secure high-tier quest rewards. As our 55-time regression veteran cuts through the crowded square, an eager female warrior taps his shoulder, desperate to confirm whether he is really the legendary player streaming the secret quest strategy. She urgently asks when he'll showcase the clear method on stream, but her hot-headed partner immediately barks at her for trusting a potential scammer who might rob them blind. Before the argument can spiral out of control, the girl violently smacks her comrade silent, allowing Hanbit to slip past the drama completely unbothered. Leaving the squabbling duo behind, our veteran drops a completely absurd directive onto his young streamer companion. Instead of heading toward the dangerous forest where the bomb slimes spawn, Hanbit insists on marching straight to the ocean, casually revealing that his secret cure recipe actually requires a simple fishing rod. The kid stands completely dumbfounded, wondering why on earth a high-stakes combat quest demands non-combat life skills. Meanwhile, greedy livestream viewers immediately react to the leak, sending market prices for ocean fish skyrocketing in real time while our boy smirks in secret, knowing these reckless speculators are falling right into his trap. Desperate for answers, the young streamer leans in close and begs to know if the critical medicinal ingredients are hidden somewhere in the deep sea. But our master strategist just waves his hand coyly, keeping his 55 cycles of hidden knowledge locked tight to his chest while thoroughly enjoying the kid's mounting agony. Terrified that a fake guide will incinerate his entire streaming career on live broadcast, the young ranker drops to his knees and desperately grabs Hambit's leg in full panic. Unfazed by the public meltdown, our boy simply grins and extends his hand, demanding a massive 70,000 gold loan to finance his next tactical move. As an enormous mob of onlookers surges forward to witness the madness unfold, Hambit peers down from the stone balcony and reassures his frantic teammate that he'll repay every last coin. The kid reluctantly forks over the funds, admitting he's far too desperate for answers to turn back now. Reaching the sunlit shore, Hambit finally locks eyes on his true target, a solitary, hard-of-hearing NPC fisherman named Eldrock sitting quietly on the rocks. While the entire server wastes time fighting monsters in the woods, our regression veteran knows this unassuming old angler holds the ultimate secret to conquering the Oxbell quest. Approaching the solitary angler on the shore, Hambit politely asks to purchase his fishing rod, but when the old fisherman feigns complete deafness and tries ignoring him, our regression veteran sees right through the act, knowing this NPC is far sharper than he appears. Getting right up to the old man's ear, Hambit whispers a 50,000 gold offer while calling out his fake act on the spot. Eldrock sits in tense silence for a moment, realizing this strange young player knows his exact secret. Eldrock's eye instantly pops open as he drops the act and greedily demands 100,000 gold instead. But our master strategist counters with 60,000, grinning smoothly because he remembers this old miser's exact bargaining habits from his 55 past regressions. When the old man screams that 60,000 is below cost price and demands 90,000, Hambit instantly threatens to drop his offer back to 50,000. Realizing he's completely outmaneuvered, the defeated angler relents, surrendering his rod while cursing the shrewd young punk. Holding the rod high in triumph, Hambit celebrates his bargain purchase while the old man barks at him to take it and get lost. Watching the masterclass unfold, the young streamer notes that our regressor seems like a natural-born entertainer built specifically for live broadcasting. Armed with his new gear, our veteran marches straight into the forest toward the volatile bomb slime territory. While his teammate pitches roleplay ideas for the stream, Hambit shuts him down cold as the kid turns to explain the extreme mechanics of bomb slimes to his stream chat. The moment a player touches one of these green monsters, it instantly triggers a catastrophic explosion. Ranged attacks like throwing rocks fare no better, producing the exact same violent blast that knocks players clear off their feet, while walking into them means guaranteed instant death. To make matters worse, these self-destructing slimes drop zero loot, prompting live chat comments to label them complete trash. But as the stream chat questions how a simple fishing rod could ever deal with such useless monsters, Hambit takes a quiet, deliberate step forward into the grass to begin. Dropping low into the tall grass, our regression veteran carefully fine-tunes the fishing reel, calibrating his line height directly above the volatile green slimes. Recognizing that virtual rod sensitivity differs from real life, he patiently tests the mechanical tension to ensure absolute precision before making his move. Before he can cast, his panicked streamer partner urgently speaks up, pointing at his system display to warn that shameless player groups are trailing right behind them. But our 55-time regressor doesn't even flinch. His eyes narrow into a cold glare as he reveals he already knew they were being tailed. Glancing back toward the rustling foliage, our boy tracks multiple concealed squads maintaining their distance ever since they departed the city gates. Dozens of greedy eyes lurk within the dark shadows, hovering like vultures to steal his secret quest strategy without putting in any actual effort. Rather than giving these uninvited freeloaders a free front-row tutorial, our master strategist smoothly reaches out and grabs the stream settings interface right out of his partner's hand. Flashing a wicked smirk, he offers a playful apology to the audience and deliberately scrambles the broadcast video feed, plunging both his stream viewers and the lurking stalkers completely into the dark. Our master strategist Hambit reaches out and demands the screen settings window, flashing a sly smirk straight at the live broadcast. He casually informs the viewers that a brief screen adjustment is incoming while heavy static glitches across his face. He is setting up a tactical prank, preparing to manipulate the stream without the chat suspecting a single thing. See, back during his military service, our streamer friend was a diehard fantasy nerd with zero squad mates who shared his hobby. Left out in the cold while everyone else hung out, he spent his entire enlistment in total isolation, rereading the exact same worn-out monster-taming book over and over just to kill the unbearable boredom. Everything changed the moment a sharp new recruit saluted into the unit. The second the host showed off his favorite novel, the rookie casually pointed out hidden strategies and deep lore details the senior soldier had completely missed despite reading the book dozens of times. His analysis was so ridiculously detailed, it was as if he had personally fought through that fantasy realm himself. Completely blown away by the rookie's unreal insight, the host realized he was standing next to an absolute legend. Fast forward to his military discharge, the moment he spotted a giant billboard promoting an ultra-realistic virtual reality game, a light bulb went off. He was dead certain that teaming up with that same brilliant recruit inside a real game would be an unmatched ride. Cut back to the present battlefield. With only the streamer's personal feed broadcasting live to the viewers, the duo decides to pull off a slick trick on the chat. The streamer steps directly up to block the camera lens, aggressively begging for subscribers and likes while pretending to target the green slimes below, giving our boy Hanbit total cover to execute his plan undetected in the background. Hanbit breaks down the psychological warfare hanging over the battlefield. Hidden rival groups are crouching in the bushes right behind them, watching the stream feed and anxiously waiting for the frontrunners to stumble so they can aggressively close the gap. If this tense standoff continues, chaos will erupt. Heavy boots crunch against the dirt as an impatient squad of armed competitors steps out from the tree line with spears drawn. But our little general remains completely unbothered, casually looking over his shoulder because he already foresaw that their sheer panic would force them to break cover first. The second the broadcast feed suddenly flashes back on, the live chat room erupts in complete confusion. Viewers can only watch in utter bewilderment as our sneaky strategist flashes a smug wave directly into the camera lens before firmly locking both of his hands onto his fishing rod. Without missing a single beat, he violently whips his specialized fishing rod through the sky. The heavy line cuts through the air with tremendous speed and force, soaring far over the cliff edge straight toward the cluster of green slime targets down in the meadow below. He reveals the calculated strategy behind his gear choice. Purchased directly from Old Man Eldrock, this custom fishing rod features an ultra-sharp hook specifically engineered to sink deep inside the green bomb slimes without alarming the creatures or triggering an early explosion on contact. Now comes the lethal trick. Slamming the trigger button on his reel handle causes razor-sharp steel thorns to burst outward from inside the hook, instantly agitating the monster's volatile core and blasting the target into a colossal inferno of roaring fire and smoke. By mastering the blast timing, our tactical mastermind converts raw destruction into total area control. The immense shockwave launches the surrounding green slimes flying high into the air, turning live explosive monsters into bouncing bombs aimed precisely where he needs them to land on the field. The lurking stream snipers freeze in absolute terror as live bomb slimes rain down directly onto their hiding spots. Caught completely off guard by the flying explosive monsters, the hostile competitors instantly break rank in utter panic, scrambling through the dirt to escape the blast zone. Searing flashes engulf their horrified faces right before the violent chain explosions obliterate the entire tree line. As a massive shockwave of howling wind and heavy dust sweeps across the cliff, our master strategist stands completely unfazed while the streamer host stays crouched down in pure awe. Flashing a cocky smirk directly into the live broadcast, our boy casually boasts that the annoying stream snipers have been neatly taken care of. With the battlefield now completely cleared of enemy lurkers, he raises his specialized rod once again to launch the true phase of his operation. Down in the smoky crater below, a rare yellow slime slithers out from behind the rocks. Wasting no time, the little general casts his line with absolute precision, snagging the golden variant without disturbing its unstable core and reeling it cleanly straight into his pouch. Proudly displaying the bulging sack to the stunned live chat, Hanbit breaks down the game's secret spawn mechanics. Detonating a full cluster of bomb slimes simultaneously forces remaining entities to transform into non-explosive dud slimes, securing the exact quest materials they need. The streamer host grows anxious, asking if broadcasting this hidden method will allow every rival player to easily copy their quest run. But our tactical genius just flashes a sinister grin, fully aware that executing such absurd mechanical control is virtually impossible for regular players. Nearby in the bushes, corporate employee Kim Jae-ha desperately gasps for air while wiping cold sweat from his face. Heavily traumatized by the sudden slime artillery strike, the poor guy collapses in total exhaustion after barely surviving the carnage by the skin of his teeth. Shaken to his core, the rival workshop employee convinces himself that our strategic mastermind is no ordinary newbie. He calculates that a massive gaming megacorp must be secretly backing Hanbit, utilizing the small livestream as a front to distract rival guilds while covert teams clear high-level game content. Deciding to cut his losses before getting caught in any more crossfire, Jaya slips away into the forest to complete his own monthly quota. But the narrator grimly reveals his ultimate fate. Despite all his calculating effort, he will never succeed. Cut back to the quest house inside the city. The duo proudly presents their newly crafted yellow slime dish directly to the client, Tito. The woman recoils in absolute horror at the bubbling, purple slime smoking noxious fumes, angrily demanding if they brought lethal poison instead of actual medicine. Completely exasperated by their bizarre attempt at cooking, Tito shuts down the quest on the spot. She offers to compensate them with cold cash for their raw materials, sternly ordering the duo to take the money and leave her shop at once. Rather than walking away, our tactical genius locks eyes with her and casually taunts that she must not be very desperate if she can dismiss potential medicine so easily. The cold provocation hits her like a physical strike, igniting a wave of raw fury as she screams back at his outrageous insolence. Midway through furious outburst, our ruthless strategist moves with lightning reflexes, jamming a large spoon brimming with the foul-smelling slime straight past her teeth. Caught totally defenseless, Tito reflexively gulps down the slop while the terrified streamer host looks on in absolute shock. The live broadcast chat explodes over the sheer disrespect of force-feeding a Quest client, branding our boy an absolute villain. As Tito suddenly clutches her throat and gasps in sheer terror, the little general casually stands over her, waiting to see how his reckless cure takes effect. Behind the closed door, violent retching sounds echo loudly through the house. While the panicked live streamer gasps in utter horror thinking the client is throwing up, our strategic mastermind smugly confirms that the potent purging effect is working exactly according to his calculated plan. Tito violently bursts out in pure fury, yanking our boy by the collar and screaming directly into his face. Completely unbothered by her explosive rage, the little general calmly points out that the foul slime forced her body to vomit up the hidden seed, eradicating the true root cause of her deadly disease. Inside the back room, the purging remedy takes violent effect. Seconds later, the door slams open as the shop owner grabs our boy by the collar, raging in absolute fury over whatever crazy concoction he just forced her to swallow. She demands to know what kind of sick trick this is after vomiting up a strange seed. But Hanbit stays ice cold, smiling right back as he informs the host that the disgusting seed she just threw up was the actual root of her illness. Stunned speechless, she can barely comprehend his words. Our strategist reveals he picked up on her symptoms the moment they met, knowing full well she has been silently suffering from the exact same hidden affliction as her mother. She collapsed alone in secret, hiding her agony so her mother wouldn't worry and vultures like Julio couldn't exploit her vulnerability. Having endured endless agony himself, the former regressor respects her grit and refuses to judge her choices. He breaks down the sinister truth. A lethal parasitic seed from the southern continent latched onto their internal organs through contaminated food, and standard medicine could never dislodge a living parasite rooted inside the stomach. That is precisely why he needed the dud slime. By neutralizing its explosive core, he extracted pure vomit-inducing toxins and specialized mucus, creating a precise violent purge that forces the parasitic seed entirely out of the body. As the realization hits her, Hanbit hands over the remaining dish. Once her mother vomits out the parasite, the nightmare ends permanently. He urges her to hurry, delivering a complete cure that no doctor in the realm could provide. Looking down at the remaining dish, our strategist's mind drifts back across 55 brutal regressions. In every single timeline, this fiery shopkeeper stood as an unyielding constant, carrying burdens alone and putting the safety of others far above her own survival. Even when he was battered and broken, Oxbell never turned her back on him, always barked back at anyone who dared cause trouble, and shielded him without hesitation. Rough words aside, seeing her finally free from her tragic fate is everything Hanbit fought for. Inside the back room, a system cutscene triggers as Oxbell rushes the purge remedy straight to her bedridden mother. Without a second thought, she scoops up a spoonful of the yellow slime mixture, praying this bizarre cure actually works. Supporting her frail mother's head, she feeds her the volatile remedy and watches with breathless tension. As the sick woman swallows the glowing concoction, Oxbell's eyes widen, waiting desperately for any sign that the lethal parasite is finally letting go. Moments later, she bursts back into the front room, wiping away tears of pure shock. The remedy worked perfectly, forcing a mountain of disgusting parasitic seeds out of her mother's system and revealing how those useless quack doctors had scammed them for years. Furious over the deceit, she raises her fists and vows violent revenge against every doctor who bled her dry. Seeing her standing tall and genuinely relieved, Hanbit smiles softly, knowing he just permanently altered a tragic storyline that plagued his previous lives. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Oxbell looks at our boy with a bright, tearful smile and offers her heartfelt thanks. Meanwhile, the livestream chat erupts into absolute chaos, with viewers falling head over heels and claiming her as their ultimate waifu. Annoyed by his chat's hopeless simping, Hanbit casually swats the floating blue system window out of his face. With both mother and daughter finally saved, the shop owner turns back toward the shelves to honor her end of the bargain. She places a massive leather-bound grimoire onto the counter, adorned with intricate gold filigree and a glowing crimson gemstone at its center. This legendary magic book is the exact prized item our strategist came across the continent to claim. Hanbit humbly accepts the prized grimoire, but the grateful shop owner insists that saving their lives earns far greater appreciation than a simple book. Securing the legendary item he crossed the continent for, our boy prepares to lead the way toward their next quest objective. Beside him, his wide-eyed companion can barely contain his excitement, desperately pleading for even a single touch of the sacred tome. Yet before the duo can take a single step toward the doorway, Oxbell pops up with a bright, enthusiastic smile, stopping them cold as she announces that their payment is only just beginning. Without missing a beat, she hauls out a massive, bulging leather sack stuffed to the brim with additional riches, overwhelming the duo with her sheer generosity. Watching her hand over the massive pile of extra loot, the stunned party member gapes in absolute disbelief, pointing out that this insane payout far exceeds anything reasonable for a standard reward. But having saved 2 lives from a parasitic death, their heroic efforts have earned far more than simple pocket change. Suddenly, the system window erupts with blinding notifications, triggering a first clear achievement that leaves our brilliant strategist completely caught off guard. Because he permanently shattered a tragic storyline from his past regressions, the system automatically recalculates and adjusts his completion rewards straight to the absolute maximum limit. Gold coins surge from 2,000 all the way to 4,000 gold, while bonus stat points flood into his character sheet alongside a massive 200 experience boost. This massive influx immediately pushes him straight to level 5, granting 5 additional bonus stat points to fuel his growing combat stats. Just as the reward notifications clear, a radiant golden flare bursts directly from the grimoire in his hands, triggering an extraordinary item rank-up sequence. Axbell's personal fireball magic book shatters its original limits, evolving instantly from a hero-rank grimoire imbued with terrifying magic power. As the blinding light settles, our former regressor stares completely dumbfounded at the blazingly upgraded spellbook in his palms, realizing his risky tactical play yielded gains far beyond anything he managed across 55 brutal regressions. The battle reward blazes with a blinding golden light right in Hambit's hands, completely catching our regressor off guard. His rookie streamer partner stammers in absolute disbelief as the system announces a first clear, realizing that their chaotic stunt just pulled off an achievement thought to be entirely impossible for low-level players. Resting on the wooden floor is a unique spellbook, an absurd first clear reward that has the streamer sweating bullets. Desperate to damage control the sudden uproar unfolding live, the panicked rookie leans over and frantically begs Hanbit to say something to appease the rapidly exploding chat room before things spiral further. The streaming interface completely breaks down as thousands of stunned viewers flood the live broadcast with pure anger and confusion. The poor streamer throws his hands up in utter panic, totally overwhelmed by a toxic wall of comments scrolling far too fast for his eyes to even track. Before they can even process the stream meltdown, Oxbell steps in and hands our boy another hidden reward. Hanbit claims the glowing parchment as a system notification unlocks the achievement for being her first savior, granting him a free bonus stat point along with an official letter of introduction. The woman explains the parchment is a recommendation letter for the local smithy, bluntly pointing out that their current weapons are trash and their gear smells awful. Hanbit snaps back in immediate defense, angrily shouting that the foul stench comes from exploded bomb slime guts rather than his own personal hygiene. Oxbell offers them a warm smile and bids them farewell, inviting them to return whenever they need aid. As the stream viewers go wild in the chat room over her beauty, our regressor keeps his composure, offering a cool smirk as he gets ready to dive deeper into the game world. Stepping out onto the main road, the duo pulls up the world map to plan out their next strategic move. With Port City Edland serving as their starting hub, the vast open world lies completely unlocked, giving our boy absolute freedom to choose his path and execute his hidden strategy. The rookie streamer warns against blundering into high-level dragon territories while proudly boasting about spending 5 grueling hours crafting his refined avatar look. Our boy nods along dismissively, keeping his dark secrets and brutal past with the malevolent goddess strictly to himself to prevent drawing unwanted suspicion from his clueless partner. After breaking down the absurd avatar customization mechanics found throughout the open world, our regressor redirects their focus back to tactical strategy. He carefully ponders which zone to conquer first on the massive world map until a sudden, sharp system sound interrupts his deep train of thought. A massive 50,001 donation suddenly flashes across the broadcast screen, driving the rookie streamer into complete hysterics as he screams his gratitude to the chat. Hanbit stands paralyzed by the chaotic noise before quickly realizing his equal 50% cut is already generating genuine cash for his wallet. The live broadcast rapidly transforms into an explosive cash cow as stunned viewers flood the stream with massive donations over their impossible rank 1 spellbook clear. The rookie streamer basks in absolute luxury before another massive 100,001 donation hits the screen, sending him into another state of wild ecstasy. Shoving the glowing live metric display directly into Hanbit's face, the ecstatic streamer announces that their concurrent viewer count just shattered 8,000. Our boy stares in complete disbelief, genuinely shocked that executing a single low-level quest strategy could ignite such an overwhelming wave of public attention. When hyped viewers aggressively demand a high-tier reaction dance in exchange for the massive cash spree, the rookie streamer happily obliges to keep the momentum going. Meanwhile, our strategic regressor quietly calculates the numbers in his head, confirming their total profit has already cleared $500,000. As his partner shamelessly performs an embarrassing dance routine live on camera, Hanbit watches with completely deadpan eyes, entirely unbothered by the ridiculous spectacle unfolding beside him. Staring down at his gloved hand, our regressor realizes that monetizing his hidden quest knowledge will be his ultimate ticket to farming real-world riches. Clenching his gloved fist with iron resolve, our regressor vows to use his newfound stream earnings to give his mother the peaceful life she deserves. See, back during his agonizing regressions, the malevolent goddess once showed him a cruel vision of reality just to break his spirit. In that timeline, he went missing right after military enlistment, leaving his heartbroken mother completely devastated as she abandoned her own life, kneeling among piles of missing person flyers desperate for any trace of her son. Shaking off the heavy memories, our boy listens as his hyperactive partner begs him to activate their unique spellbook reward before the live chat loses its mind. Resting his palm directly against the glowing crimson gem embedded in the cover, Hanbit initiates the spell transfer. A blinding burst of magical light instantly erupts around him, engulfing his entire body as the ancient spellbook dissolves into raw power. The system registers the unique grade Fireball spell, but as the golden window fades, our regressor stands bewildered by how effortless it felt. Typically, learning high-level magic forces a massive wave of system instructions directly into a player's mind, leaving his partner baffled when Hanbit feels absolutely nothing. Realizing his silence is raising suspicion, our boy quickly plays it off, laughing alongside his partner and blaming the strange delay on the spell's unique rank. Behind that fake laugh, a terrifying realization dawns on our regressor. The divine goddess didn't just return him home. The combat techniques and magical mastery he forged across 55 hellish years in Erfurt carried over into his virtual avatar. Every spell ritual is already burned into his soul, finally explaining why the game engine categorized him as an existing character from the moment he logged in. Desperate to satisfy thousands of eager live viewers, the rookie streamer excitedly urges Hanbit to showcase his new power, pointing out a massive boulder sitting in the nearby brush. Our veteran regressor coolly steps up to the mark, taking a deep breath to steady his nerves. He raises his open palm toward the target, concentrating his focus into the center of his hand as he prepares to ignite his very first spell. Channeling raw mana directly into his fingertips, our veteran regressor shouts the magic incantation as searing flames completely engulf his arm. Taking steady aim at the distant boulder, he prepares to unleash his newly acquired unique spell live on stream. With a powerful thrust of his palm, Hanbit hurls the glowing fireball through the open clearing. The concentrated sphere of fiery destruction streaks across the air at blinding speed, cutting straight toward its target like a deadly heat-seeking missile. The moment the spell impacts the target, it detonates with catastrophic force, completely rocking the forest floor. Fiery shockwaves instantly vaporize the massive boulder and obliterate the surrounding terrain, leaving an immense smoldering crater in its wake. As thick smoke settles over the destroyed terrain, the rookie streamer completely loses his mind in utter disbelief. Seeing the absurd damage output, he screams his partner's praises while our boy coolly crosses his arms, proudly soaking in the live hype. However, mid-gloat, Hanbit's confident smirk instantly evaporates as cold dread grips his heart. Realizing a standard rank 1 fireball could never generate nuclear explosive force, he stares in absolute horror, realizing his avatar's underlying mechanics are completely broken. Before he can process the anomaly, dark void energy engulfs his perception as the system forces open a hidden title notification. The legendary chronicle of the 55th title unlocks, revealing the colossal glowing eyes of the evil goddess, causing Hanbit to recoil in sheer terror. The malicious deity's giant spectral hand reaches down from space, crushing our boy under immense divine pressure. Suspended in the void and suffocating under her terrifying aura, Lil Bro struggles helplessly to break free from the agonizing nightmare. Snapping back to reality, Hanbit collapses onto his knees, gasping violently for air. Hidden system logs confirm his newly awakened title rapidly accelerates skill mastery based on his 55 brutal regressions. Realizing the evil goddess is still orchestrating his destiny, our furious regressor tightly grips his leg, gritting his teeth in pure hatred. Hanbit grits his teeth and clutches his trembling knee as severe physical strain violently racks his body. Reading the system notification for the 55th recorder, he realizes his skill proficiency accumulated rapidly based on his past combat experience. Furious at the horrific ordeal he endured across 55 regression cycles, our boy bitterly curses the watching goddess while fighting to regain his composure. His companion rushes over in concern, but our battle-hardened strategist quickly covers up his physical pain. Knowing the rookie could never understand his 55 lives of trauma, Hanbit smoothly pivots the conversation. Claiming his high-rank spell strained his mana, he asks the newbie to demonstrate a standard D-rank spell, leaving the surprised partner hesitating nervously before finally agreeing. Taking a deep breath, the rookie strikes an energetic battle stance and loudly chants his fireball spell. But instead of an explosive flame, he summons a tiny, pathetic spark sitting harmlessly near Hanbit's face. Our returnee tries to stay polite by calling it cool, but immediately notes how uselessly small it is for combat, driving his teammate to scream out in sheer humiliation. The teammate rants about how brutal magic proficiency grinding is for regular players forced to start with basic spellbooks. He throws a hilarious tantrum over the unbelievable unfairness of Hanbit unlocking unique rank magic on his very first attempt, while our boy just smirks awkwardly at his own overwhelming initial advantage. Looking beyond the unique spell rank, Hanbit carefully analyzes the hidden gap between their abilities. He understands that while the high rank is impressive, the true difference lies in his stacked proficiency from 55 lifetimes of non-stop warfare. Standing atop memories of bloody battlefields, his fundamental combat mastery far exceeds any normal player. Stepping forward with absolute authority, the master strategist grabs his comrade and delivers a serious tactical breakdown. He declares that magic isn't something you just click to cast. It's pure mathematics where incantations and mana control must be calculated stitch by stitch. His intense lecture leaves both his partner and the live stream chat completely stunned by his insane level of game immersion. Our master strategist casually declares that despite unlocking unique rank magic on his very first attempt, he has no intention of using a staff or making magic his primary combat focus anytime soon. Striking an overly dramatic pose, he treats high-rank spells like minor utility, leaving his rookie teammates standing frozen in utter confusion at how a Day 1 player could act this arrogant. Meanwhile, the livestream chat explodes with uncontrollable laughter, mercilessly roasting Hanbit for his unbearable middle school syndrome. The viewers mock him for casually setting aside unique tier magic while his partner's face twitches in rising irritation as he watches our boy smugly smirk at his own unbelievable initial advantage over normal players. Unable to take the disrespect any longer, the rookie completely loses his cool. Driven to pure fury over the game's brutal spell grinding, the enraged player lunges forward and locks our returnee in a tight chokehold, violently threatening to hoard every single drop of quest info unless Hanbit finally calms down. Before the scuffle escalates any further, a massive donation of 77,001 flashes across the stream screen. Instantly abandoning their brawl, both gamers freeze in shock before dropping into continuous synchronized bows, with our battle-hardened hero cheekily admitting that financial therapy really is the ultimate cure for boiling rage. Brushing off the chat's ongoing banter, the master strategist immediately refocuses on the tactical grind. When curious viewers ask where he's heading next, he rests his chin on his gloved hand with a calculating smirk, revealing that he already selected their next secret destination long before setting out on this journey. Trekking through the quiet forest trail, the pair soon arrives before a secluded wooden cabin. When his companion asks if they should be pushing the main storyline quest instead, the 55-time returnee firmly shuts him down, declaring that main quests can wait until they acquire essential high-tier combat skills first. Hanbit pushes open the creaky wooden door, leading the way into a dim workshop decorated with mounted animal skulls and a muscular butcher actively cleaving meat. While the rookie shivers nervously at the ominous environment, our battle-hardened strategist steps inside without a trace of fear, ready to unlock whatever hidden power or skill awaits inside. Inside the shadowy cabin, the muscular hunter Rickner spins around gripping a massive butcher cleaver, aggressively demanding to know what business two players have in his workshop. Completely unbothered by the giant's terrifying presence, our master strategist coolly announces he came to learn archery, prompting the skeptical hunter to slam his heavy blade into a bloody chopping block. Looming directly over our boy, Rickner gets right in his face and questions if this bold newcomer actually possesses enough true grit to handle his training regime. But the 55-time returnee simply smirks while tightening his leather gloves, boldly bragging that he has all the grit and raw combat experience needed to conquer the upcoming quest. Stepping outside onto the training field, Hanbit analyzes the test parameters, requiring a minimum score of 200 points across 30 total arrows. Seeing his zero agility build, his nervous rookie companion frantically begs him to allocate stat points into speed before trying, but our stubborn strategist casually ignores the warning and gets into position. Fixing his gaze on the wooden target, the master tactician smoothly knocks an arrow onto the bowstring. He draws the heavy wooden limb back with flawless posture, holding his breath as wind sweeps across the range before unleashing the string and sending his very first arrow sailing down the field. Instead of hitting the target, the arrow wobbles pathetically and plummets straight into the dirt far short of the mark. His partner bursts out laughing, smugly lecturing him about ignoring basic agility stats while the chat pokes fun, but our returnee remains completely unfazed, announcing he already memorized the bow's physical trajectory. His companion just scratches his head with a tired sigh, telling the arrogant strategist to just do his best with his remaining shots. But as he turns away, a sharp, deafening whistle suddenly tears through the quiet atmosphere, making the rookie freeze mid-sentence as a shockwave passes his ear. Hanbit's follow-up arrow streaks across the open range with insane velocity and slams violently into the wooden target, vibrating right near the center. The sudden display of terrifying precision leaves his rookie teammate looking on with wide eyes, completely screaming in absolute disbelief. The rookie teammate can barely process the shock as our veteran strategist smoothly draws back the heavy bowstring once again. With cold, calculated precision, Hanbit unleashes follow-up shots straight into the bullseye, scoring consecutive 10-point hits that leave his partner screaming in pure astonishment at his absurd talent. Without pausing for a single second, the battle-tested strategist fires off all 26 remaining arrows in one continuous, deafening barrage. The staggering momentum of his rapid-fire assault completely overpowers the wooden structure, shattering the thick target to pieces in an explosion of splinters. Raising his gloved fist into the sunlight, our boy locks in a massive total score of 287 points. He single-handedly shatters the impossible performance cap of starter gear, proving that 55 lifetimes of raw battlefield experience completely override low-base agility stats. Meanwhile, over in the city, a nimble female rogue idly flips shiny gold coins between her fingers. Bored out of her mind after clearing out amateur marks, the thief grumbles about how absurdly easy pocket picking is around here, desperately wishing for an actual target worth her time. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echo through the archway as two shadows step inside her hideout. Her red eyes light up with dangerous excitement, smirking as she wonders what kind of foolish victims just casually walked straight into her domain without realizing the danger. Deep within the city alleyways, a rogue flips gold coins through her fingers, completely bored out of her mind after picking the pockets of weak local fodder. She sits around, impatiently waiting for something exciting to finally happen. Just as she complains about the lack of real action, two unsuspecting figures walk straight into her lair. A mischievous smirk sweeps across her face as she locks onto her new targets, eager to show these clueless newcomers how brutal this town can be. Elsewhere, our returned veteran and his hyperactive companion Loafer march down the sunlit forest path carrying heavy bags of newly acquired loot. Loafer is practically bouncing off the dirt with pure hype, completely blown away by Hanbit's unreal archery performance back at the arena. With gold coins literally glowing in his eyes, the kid rambles endlessly about how they are going to be rolling in cash from now on. It turns out the clever kid placed an underdog bet on Hanbit during the event, landing a monstrous payout that completely broke the betting odds. He cheers triumphantly, raving about how awesome it is to break the system. But his celebration hits a brick wall the moment our strategist dryly reminds him that their live stream is still broadcasting every single detail directly to thousands of salty viewers. Curious about their next destination, Loafer asks where they are heading next. Hanbit calmly lays out his roadmap to master high-tier swordsmanship, explaining that he first needs to obtain a mobility skill called haste. The announcement leaves his companion utterly stunned, while the live chat instantly explodes with comments calling the skill complete trash that no serious player would ever touch. Loafer frantically protests, warning that haste is widely known across the server as a Tier 1 useless skill with zero practical combat application. But our tactical mastermind does not care about rookie opinions for a single second. Cutting the conversation short, he bolts down the path at top speed, forcing his breathless partner to sprint full force just to avoid getting left behind in the dust. The duo arrives at a quiet outpost, coming face-to-face with a sharp-eyed rogue NPC named Leah. Standard players actively avoid her because her questline is ridiculously difficult for a skill that everyone thinks is worthless. But while the casual crowd dismisses it as trash, our 55-life regression master knows this exact skill is the hidden key to unlocking his true power. Loafer anxiously whispers into his partner's ear, deeply suspicious and terrified that this notorious rogue NPC is about to scam them out of every coin they possess. But our regression veteran steps straight into Leah's personal space without a single hint of hesitation, directly demanding to learn her signature speed skill. Intrigued by his brazen arrogance, the sharp thief flashes a taunting smirk, thoroughly eager to show this clueless rookie how brutal these alleyways can be. Before either of them can even process what is happening, she snatches their heavy bag of newly acquired loot right off their belt in a blinding flash of motion. Dashing effortlessly behind their backs, the agile thief mockingly shakes the gold over her shoulder, taunting them for being painfully sluggish while smugly declaring the stolen pouch to be her non-negotiable upfront tuition fee. Expecting an immediate explosion of rage and panic, the thief is caught completely off guard when Hanbit simply scratches his head with an unbothered grin. He calmly tells her to hold on to the money and begin the lesson at once. Since after suffering through 55 brutal lifelines filled with her relentless robbery schemes, surrendering a single bag of gold actually feels like a massive bargain. Annoyed that her petty theft completely failed to shatter his calm composure, Leah decides to raise the stakes and escalate this into a high-speed chase. Shouting that class is officially in session, she launches into the air with insane speed, springing onto the wooden rooftop tiles and taunting the duo to catch her if they can. Loafer completely loses his mind in a panic when he realizes their entire fortune was stolen right out from under his nose. At the exact same time, the live stream chat explodes with desperate warnings, explaining that this quest is a notorious player trap. Casual gamers are forced to hand over 25,000 gold across 5 agonizing 3-hour sessions, wasting 15 full hours just to clear the objective. Loafer frantically begs him to give up the chase, screaming that manually running down Leah through the city layout is physically impossible for standard players. But our tactical mastermind does not care about rookie warnings for a single second. Smirking with absolute confidence, he dryly points out that if he cannot outrun a master thief himself, he will simply contract an expert who can hunt her down. Our regression veteran heads straight to shopkeeper Oxbell, who happens to be Leah's older sister. He smoothly lies right to her face about how he uncovered their hidden relation, claiming it was just common gossip around the hideout district. Completely fooled by his perfectly composed act, the older sister sighs in relief and readily agrees to help him track down the rogue. Loafer stands there completely baffled by the trick, but our boy doubles down on his ridiculous bluff, scolding his companion for failing to pay attention to basic clues. Meanwhile, the livestream chat fumes in total disbelief as the tactical mastermind smugly weaponizes his 55 lifelines of insider knowledge to effortlessly bypass what should have been a grueling 15-hour quest grind. Meanwhile, high above the city rooftops, the rogue thief is lounging around completely relaxed while playing with a stray cat. Smugly convinced her targets gave up on the impossible high-speed chase, she boasts to herself that nobody could ever track down her secret hideout, unaware that her angry older sister has just stepped onto the roof directly behind her. The thief turns around to find Oxbell looming directly over her with an intimidating glare. Her jaw drops in pure shock as her brain completely short-circuits. In a single horrifying second, her ultimate escape plan collapses into total ruin, leaving the rogue utterly paralyzed in terror as she realizes she was outsmarted without a single step being taken. Infuriated, Leah grabs our strategist by his tunic and screams that bringing her sister into this is blatant cheating. But the menace simply smirks back, dryly reminding her that she explicitly told him to use any means necessary. Before she can complain any further, Oxbell steps forward with a terrifying smile, ready to deal out brutal family discipline. The furious older sister aggressively stretches Leah's cheeks, screaming at top volume for going around pickpocketing strangers and risking her life in these dangerous streets. After scolding the rogue into tearful submission, Oxbell sternly orders her to report straight back to the shop the second this quest is finished, warning of far worse consequences if she dares to wander off. Thoroughly traumatized, Leah desperately promises to obey while our strategic mastermind cheerfully waves goodbye to his helper. Admitting she has never encountered a player so ridiculously calculating and unpredictable, the defeated thief reaches into her cloak and pulls out the coveted haste skill book, officially handing over the exact prize he came to claim. Leah reluctantly hands over her prized manual to honor the deal, instantly triggering a maximum clear bonus that awards our strategist a unique grade haste skill book. Utterly humiliated and sickened by his ruthless trickery, the defeated master thief vaults straight into the sky, screaming that this entire encounter was an absolute nightmare before vanishing over the city rooftops. A breathless Loafer finally stumbles onto the roof, fully expecting a grueling 15-hour chase, only to learn the quest was already cleared in mere seconds. Our menace smugly flexes his second unique grade reward directly in front of the stream camera, leaving his companion wide-eyed in pure shock while salty viewers endlessly roast him for letting his own stream get hijacked. With his mobility bottleneck officially solved, our 55-life veteran activates the glowing green manual without wasting a single second. Having effortlessly unlocked the high-speed utility he desperately needed, he calmly announces their next objective with absolute confidence: mastering high-tier swordsmanship. Before Loafer can even catch his breath, our boy strolls back and having already secured another unique rank skill book in record time. The blonde streamer stands stunned in total disbelief, while his live chat loses its mind over how effortlessly this 9-year-old menace hijacked the entire broadcast. Without wasting a single second, Handbit activates the book, letting brilliant green magic swirl into his palms as the skill binds to his body. Consuming skill books in an instant still feels strange to a veteran of 55 regressions, but he needs every edge before tackling swordsmanship next. Loafer questions why he burned a unique slot on swiftness when the stat boost seems so minuscule on paper, but our strategy master breaks down the brutal tactical reality. In a high-stakes duel where two combatants run at equal speed, a microscopic boost is the difference between life and death. Loafer ignores the warning and proudly unsheathes his blade, boasting about his rank 2 advanced swordsmanship like he's a veteran master. But his massive ego gets crushed instantly when Handbit reads the stream chat out loud, exposing him as nothing more than a mid-tier casual to thousands of viewers. Watching players around them take identical progression routes, Hanbit analyzes the underlying trap. The standard beginner guidebook is conditioning the entire player base to stick to safe, predictable choices, effectively locking everyone out of discovering the world's deepest hidden quests and secret mechanics. See, Oxbell's hidden quest went undiscovered because Ulrio's slimy scam prevented anyone from ever speaking to him. Without anyone to step in, Oxbell was dragged away into the dark, never to be seen again, leaving poor Leah weeping alone in the alley as a forgotten, abandoned NPC. In an open world with endless freedom where thousands blindly follow generic guides, Hanbit locks onto the truth. Being the sole player to rescue Oxbell and Leah proves his 55 nightmare regressions were never a curse. Every single death was a precise clue pointing toward the ultimate hidden path. Hanbit makes a firm vow to clear this world entirely on his own terms. He still doesn't know what twisted endgame the goddess is plotting behind the scenes, but watching her manipulate his life like a marionette on strings fires up his resolve. Whatever trap she has set up, our boy flat out refuses to play the helpless puppet any longer. Deep inside the sunlit forest, the duo treks along the dirt path toward their next major objective. Loafer grumbles about how ridiculously far out this elite swordsmanship instructor is located, but Hanbit breaks down the game logic. This master's concept is a hidden swordsman, leading them straight to a quiet pavilion tucked away in the trees. Reaching the secluded training site, the blonde streamer foolishly waves his arms and shouts out that he's ready to learn swordsmanship. But the shadowy figure sitting inside the gazebo doesn't even bother answering. He silently sips from his cup under the brim of his wide straw hat, radiating a dark aura that leaves Lil Bro trembling in sweat. Setting his drink down with a sharp click, the mysterious martial artist rises to his feet and steps out into the open air. This is Balder, the ultimate swordsmanship skill NPC of the starter region. Draped in traditional robes with a wooden training blade at his hip, his lethal composure proves he is not a trainer to be taken lightly. Balder gets straight to business without offering long-winded explanations. Pointing to the training weapons placed behind them, the master commands both players to pick up a wooden sword and swing non-stop until he orders them to cease. His cold, piercing glare under his hat signals that any hesitation or backtalk will carry severe consequences. Hanbit unfastens his heavy steel blade without a second thought, letting it clatter onto the dirt while taking his proper stance with the wooden sword. Our veteran strategist understands the fundamental mechanical grind. Rather than questioning the repetitive nature of the exercise, he focuses entirely on perfecting his form for stage 1 of the quest. While Hanbit begins his repetitive swings, Loafer turns back to his live chat to ask how long it usually takes players to clear this 2-stage test of swinging and sparring. The stream chat floods in with responses, noting that most casuals take anywhere from an hour and a half to over 2 hours. Viewers quickly warn him that talking back to Balder completely ruins your run, bringing up an infamous viral clip of a streamer who learned that lesson the hard way. Viral stream clips quickly remind everyone of the fatal consequences of disrespecting the regional swordsmanship master. When an arrogant rookie tried mocking Balder's smell and boasting about his stats, the master cut him down in a single brutal slash. It proved this terrifying NPC will happily player kill anyone foolish enough to treat his martial training like a joke. Seeing how notoriously strict the master is, stream viewers start piling massive cash donations into the channel pool, challenging our boy to clear stage 1 in under 25 minutes. Lil Bro completely loses his composure when the total bounty explodes past 800,000 won, frantically begging Hanbit to crush the regional speed record for the massive payout. Completely tuning out the chaotic stream donations, Hanbit takes a calm breath and begins breaking down the hidden quest design. Drawing from 55 brutal regressions, he realizes stage 1 was never meant to be a brainless grind of counting reps or racing against a timer, simply because Balder never expected high combat stats or physical endurance from a novice player. Most players enter the pavilion treating swordsmanship as nothing more than a cheap default starter option. But Balder is a dedicated warrior who devoted his entire existence to the blade. Watching casuals treat his sacred art like a lazy shortcut was deeply insulting, causing the master to reject anyone who approached training without genuine discipline and honor. Instead of flailing through meaningless swings like every player before him, our veteran strategist firmly grips the wooden weapon and settles into a flawless, traditional, perfectly balanced martial stance. He projects quiet reverence and unwavering resolve, displaying absolute dedication to the sword as his intense gaze locks directly onto the master's eyes under his straw hat. Sensing pure, authentic resolve the moment Hanbit assumes his stance, Balder raises his hand and orders an immediate stop before our boy even swings the blade a single time. Stage 1 clears in under 5 seconds, lighting up the system blue notification window with an unprecedented success while thousands of stream viewers stare in complete speechless shock. The system immediately unlocks the Stage 2 linked quest, scaling Balder's attributes for an official one-on-one sparring duel. Lil Bro completely loses his mind as our 9-year-old menace bypasses a 2-hour grind in 5 seconds flat, obliterating the all-time regional speed record and securing the massive stream mission bounty without breaking a sweat. Just as Stage 2 begins, high-tier stream viewer Sword Immortal doubles down on the chat bounty. If our boy can successfully block 4 consecutive strikes from Balder, the prize pool doubles, but total failure forces both players into an IRL bungee jump. Hambit analyzes the game logic, realizing that if his past proficiency scales the master's combat difficulty, this duel is about to get dangerously intense. Lil Bro completely loses his mind, frantically screaming about his severe fear of heights while live chat goes wild over the gamble. But before the blonde streamer can pull the plug, our 9-year-old menace drops a firm hand onto his shoulder, flashing a sly, mischievous smirk that leaves the terrified creator trembling in total suspicion. Flashing a calm, unfazed smile, Hambit reassures his panicked partner that neither of them will be jumping off any cliffs today. With absolute confidence gleaming in his eyes, our veteran returnee tells him to simply sit back, relax, and trust the strategy. Hambit slaps a friendly hand onto his companion's shoulder, flashing a thoroughly suspicious grin that sends instant alarm bells ringing. The terrified ally stammers in panic, terrified he is about to be forced into another insane stunt. Our boy reassures him with an oily smile, promising no reckless cliff jumps today, though that sinister look proves trusting him is pure suicide. Right on cue, a loud system alert chimes across the screen as an insane donation rolls in. Stream viewer Sword God drops a massive 1,000,001 super chat, captivated by their chaotic dynamic. Hambit squints in utter disbelief as his total bounty rockets up to 1.8 million won, realizing his stream is officially printing serious cash. The mood instantly turns deadly as a mysterious swordsman wearing a broad straw hat blocks the trail ahead. A suffocating pressure fills the air while the stranger reaches down without saying a word. In one swift motion, he unsheaths a lethal blade blazing with brilliant blue sword energy. Our returnee instantly drops into a tight combat posture, gripping his wooden weapon tightly as the enemy launches forward. The straw hat warrior flips inverted midair, stomps his foot hard into the dirt to shatter the ground, and surges ahead in a blinding vortex of sharp wind and concentrated aura. The opponent closes the gap like a guided missile, aiming a decisive execution strike straight at our protagonist's throat. Hambit grits his teeth as the battle erupts, bracing for impact as glowing blue force tears the road apart beneath them. The glowing blue blade descends with execution force, but our returnee meets the lethal strike head-on with a simple wooden practice staff. A heavy shockwave erupts across the forest trail as the mysterious straw hat swordsman flips mid-air and lands cleanly from the parry. Watching the earth-shattering exchange, the terrified companion gasps in utter horror, wondering how their attacker can strike with such insane ferocity. Violent shockwaves vibrate straight down Hambit's arms, threatening to numb his grip as he desperately braces against the raw physical power. The livestream chat instantly explodes in panic, with viewers demanding to know if this monstrous boss mob is some kind of game bug. But against all odds, our boy locks his stance and holds the line, forcing the mysterious warrior to exhale in silent irritation as his initial kill attempt fails. Refusing to yield, the straw hat assassin crouches low and gathers swirling blue aura around his blade for another lethal assault. Hambit raises his wooden weapon high into a high guard, meeting the incoming flash of steel with flawless counter-timing. Sparks flying and aura tearing through the dirt, their weapons collide in rapid succession as our returnee manages to deflect every single execution sweep. The swordsman executes a lightning-fast low repositioning maneuver, forcing Hambit to analyze his battle condition mid-clash. Realizing his reaction speed feels unnaturally sluggish due to low gear synchronization inside the game, he knows he cannot rely on raw instincts alone. The little general quickly casts his newly acquired haste spell, blasting off the ground to create vital distance before the next strike lands. His wooden sword cuts a swift line through the air as he resets his footing on the path. The mysterious adversary lowers his stance slightly, staring intensely from beneath his wide brim. With deadly calm, the assassin asks whether our boy is merely putting on a confident front, or if he's genuinely paralyzed by the unexpected ambush. Instead of backing down, Hambit flashes a thoroughly arrogant grin and hurls the taunt right back in his face, leaving the chat room utterly stunned by his total lack of fear. Darkening his gaze, the straw hat swordsman admits he completely misjudged his target. Vowing to finish this fight instantly, he erupts forward with a massive vertical pillar of blue sword energy that splits the atmosphere apart. Hambit flashes a thoroughly arrogant grin as he lunges straight back into the fray, shouting that this deadly ambush isn't over yet. The mysterious straw hat assassin meets him mid-motion, unleashing a violent vortex of blue sword aura that smashes directly against our boy's wooden staff. The shockwave of the impact shatters the dirt trail as glowing energy slices past Hambit's face. Watching the near-death dodge, his terrified companion screams out in utter panic, completely baffled how a simple skill quest could unleash an overpowered boss mob capable of tearing them apart in seconds. The Straw Hat Warrior lands gracefully on the road and darkens his gaze from beneath his brim. Live stream viewers lose their minds over his insane physical stats, while the assassin quietly calculates his target's stamina, expecting the rookie to finally crumble under relentless psychological pressure. Refusing to give him a single second to recover, the killer crouches low into a lethal stance and blasts forward like a guided missile. He drives his aura-infused blade in a lightning-fast flurry of low thrust and vertical execution sweeps, determined to carve the returnee to pieces. Against all odds, the little general flips mid-air and deflects every incoming flash of steel with masterclass counter-timing. Smirking right through the flying sparks as his wooden staff cracks under the strain, Hambit mockingly taunts the killer, pointing out that his desperate wide swings are opening massive lethal gaps. Both fighters leap backward to reset their footing across the dusty forest path. But as the assassin channels high-voltage blue lightning straight into his blade edge, our returnee narrows his eyes and grates his teeth, recognizing that this next incoming skill carries devastating, fatal power. Determined not to give an inch of ground, both combatants stomp their boots hard into the dirt, anchoring their balance to absorb the crushing force about to detonate. The Straw Hat Assassin erupts into a sinister, shadowy silhouette engulfed in wild blue lightning and pure killing intent. Facing an overwhelming wave of high-level aura, Hambit locks his grip around his wooden practice sword, fully focused and ready to clash head-on in a battle to the death. The Straw Hat Assassin's lightning-infused strike detonates straight into Hambit's high guard with lethal execution force. Cracks spiderweb down the wooden practice staff before the blade snaps cleanly in two. As the severed timber spins high into the sky, our boy is knocked backward through the air by the crushing shockwave, desperately holding on to the broken handle. The Straw Hat Warrior lands cleanly on the trail, shattering the earth beneath his boots as aura and dust burst around him. Darkening his intense glare beneath his brim, he fully expects to see his target broken and terrified. But through the clearing smoke, our returnee flashes a thoroughly arrogant smirk right back at him, completely unfazed by his shattered weapon. See, the little general never planned to win this clash with raw physical power. His true goal was deflecting 4 deadly swings to satisfy his hidden quest objective. Laying flat on his back in the middle of the trail, Hambit casually holds up a victory sign next to the snapped wooden stick, smugly confirming his risky tactical gamble paid off completely. With a triumphant grin, Hambit celebrates as the system flashes Quest's success. Exhausted after a brutal exchange, our regression veteran collapses onto the dirt path, taking a deep breath of relief after shattering his opponent's wooden sword to secure victory on day 2. Sitting up, our boy immediately brings up the quest earnings, grabbing his streaming partner to confirm his payment. But as Hambit casually recalls their military days, his partner suddenly clamps a firm grip onto his shoulder, his eyes wide with disbelief. Demanding the truth, his partner asks what insane background Hambit had before the military, reading out wild live-stream chat theories, guessing he was an assassin or special forces soldier. When profits are brought up, our general pushes for a 50-50 split, but his friend insists he take all the money for pulling off such impossible physical feats. Tapping on his holographic system screen, Hambit breathes a sigh of relief knowing he dodged the dreaded bungee jumping penalty. The stream chat erupts in laughter, and seconds later, a top viewer named Sword God drops a massive donation, demanding to see more masterclass swordplay. Glancing over his shoulder, Hambit locks eyes on the Straw Hat swordsman leaning silently against a nearby tree. Despite his calm posture, our veteran immediately spots the intense frustration burning inside him. Looking down at the shattered remains of his wooden weapon, the warrior smolders with quiet rage after having his attack pattern completely dissected by a rookie. With a sharp, dangerous glare piercing from beneath his hat, he coldly asks if the match is officially done. Grinding his teeth in quiet frustration after his sudden defeat, the Straw Hat swordsman coldly tells Hambit to stay put before turning away. Our regression veteran instantly senses the warrior's burning rage, chuckling to himself as he realizes whoever challenges this bitter master next is in for a brutal beatdown. The livestream chat erupts into absolute chaos over the sight of 4 unique skills, spamming donations while frantically begging for sword tutoring. As hyped viewers end up crashing the server message boards, our sharp-eyed veteran turns his attention back toward his brooding opponent. Snatching his streaming partner by the shoulder, Hambit orders him to keep the chat entertained with live reactions while he takes care of business. Left alone in front of the camera, his partner eagerly takes over, boasting about his own rank 2 sword standing to satisfy the hyped audience. Walking right back up to Balder, Hambit directly presses the brooding swordsman, asking if there is an extra reward or hidden follow-up quest left behind. Underneath his straw hat, the defeated warrior stands in tense, heavy silence, glaring sharply before finally deciding to reveal his next secret. Balder confesses that his master has recently relocated to the city of Edlin. Reaching deep into his robes, he pulls out a cloth emblem decorated with a green sword crest and hands it over, promising that his master will hear him out if found where the winds gather. Securing the mysterious token with a satisfied smile, our general decides it is time to wrap up the session and head back toward the city. Beside him, his clueless streaming partner continues performing absurd reaction dances for the chat, completely oblivious to the ruthless grind waiting ahead. Analyzing Baldur's unexpected mention of a hidden master, our regression veteran realizes this game world is already diverging from his 55 past life memories. With his stamina completely drained after that brutal wooden sword exchange, our general decides to call an end to the session, leaving his partner utterly dumbfounded by the abrupt departure. Ignoring his streaming partner's frantic complaints, our boy stretches his exhausted muscles and taps the logout prompt on his system interface. The virtual world dissolves into blue data streams as Hambit officially severs his connection, disconnecting from the high-stakes battlefield to return to reality. Emerging from his capsule back into the quiet reality of his bedroom, Hambit sits on the bed, wiping sweat from his forehead. The immense physical strain of executing high-level swordsmanship in-game has bled directly into his real body, proving that this mysterious world demands every ounce of his stamina. Before he can head for a shower, his phone buzzes on the mattress with an incoming text alert. Snatching the device, our general's eyes widen in absolute shock at a massive bank deposit of 3 million won. Seeing his streaming partner transfer the massive payout leaves his hands trembling with utter disbelief. The next day at his mundane office job, Hambit wipes down tables while staring blankly into space, seriously questioning if he should quit working entirely. Earning several million won in just 10 hours of streaming makes his low-paying real-world employment feel completely pointless in comparison. However, gazing out at the open sky, his veteran mindset snaps him back to reality. Our boy endured 55 grueling regressions of pain and death just to reclaim a peaceful human existence, and throwing that freedom away to dive headfirst into endless combat feels like a fatal mistake. Yet, remembering how earnestly his partner Yeonwoo supported him during the broadcast, our general feels a deep sense of responsibility to keep pushing forward. Shaking his head back in his bedroom, Hambit forces himself to stay rational, knowing stream donations can vanish at any moment, and caution remains his ultimate weapon. Looking down at his phone, our regression veteran reflects on how securing a steady income could finally give his mother true peace of mind. Showing real filial piety and helping his family feels like a major step toward reclaiming the peaceful life he sacrificed so much for. Suddenly, his bedroom door flies open as his furious mother shouts his full name, sending our startled general tumbling onto the floor. Marching right into the room with her phone screen glowing, she aggressively demands an immediate explanation for the massive 3 million won bank deposit sitting in his account. Before he can even open his mouth, his mom lands a swift smack across his head, suspecting he spent the entire night engaged in shady, illegal gambling. Rubbing the throbbing bump on his crown, our veteran frantically defends his honor, pleading that he would never resort to dark scheme. Hambit quickly breaks down the truth, explaining how his friend Yeonwoo gifted him an expensive capsule so they could stream games together. Showing her how wild the audience reaction was, our general reassures her that every single one was earned legitimately through hard work and live stream support. Sighing deeply as she prepares for her morning shift, his mother pauses at the doorway and softly reveals she never doubted his honesty. Turning back with a tender look, she confesses that her only real fear is seeing her hard-working son push himself far past his physical limits. As the door clicks shut behind her, our general sits in the quiet room before placing a gentle hand against the wooden panel. Looking forward with unshakable resolve, Hambit vows that his mother will never carry their heavy debt alone again, determined to ensure she lives out her life in comfort. With his family's debt on his shoulders, our regression veteran prepares to step back into the battlefield. Having survived 55 grueling regressions in another world, our protagonist Hambit returns to reality only to face a completely different kind of nightmare. Before he can even process his past trauma, his petty boss snaps him back to reality, demanding to know why a fresh intern is already spacing out the second he arrives at work. Earlier that morning, senior colleague Lee Minho handed our boy a heavy folder of field documents before heading out. Hambit effortlessly breaks down the complex files thanks to his sharp mind, but right as he prepares to get to work, the insufferable team leader suddenly calls him back over to his desk for no valid reason. The power-tripping manager belittles Hambit as a mere trial version, hurling senseless personal attacks before tossing a credit card across the desk to order a coffee run. Our boy cautiously asks what specific order the boss wants, completely unaware that asking a reasonable question is about to trigger another wave of unprovoked rage. The boss clicks his tongue in pure disgust, glaring with intense venom while barking that everyone drinks iced Americano. He immediately shifts the blame, demanding to know if his senior failed to train him properly. Caught off guard by this insane level of disrespect, the startled intern quickly stammers an apology to calm him down. As Hambit heads out to buy the drinks, his steps feel heavy under the suffocating office atmosphere. He instantly reads the manager's sinister tactics, knowing the tyrant plans to exploit any sign of weakness and use Lee Min-ho to crush his spirit, making even a simple errand feel like walking through a war zone. Returning to the office after buying the coffee, Hanbit walks straight into Lee Min-ho getting savagely chewed out by the team leader. The exhausted senior listens to the boss's endless garbage with completely lifeless eyes, enduring what seems like a daily routine until he suddenly raises his head and opens his mouth to strike back. Standing tall with absolute composure, Lee Min-ho looks down at his boss and flatly announces that taking on any more tasks is completely impossible given his current workload. The entire room drops to sub-zero temperatures as the exhausted senior delivers a cold reality check, drawing a decisive line in the sand against his abusive manager. Enraged by Lee Min-ho's outright refusal to take on any more work, the tyrannical manager completely loses his temper, violently throwing papers into the air with pure disdain. Our senior colleague stands his ground with incredible composure, right as Hanbit returns from his coffee errand to set the drinks down on the desk and interrupt the explosive standoff. Without hesitation, our protagonist drops to his knees to help his senior quickly gather all the scattered documents from the floor. The petty boss grabs his iced coffee and marches away with an intense, vengeful glare, muttering profanities under his breath after realizing his usual tactics of public humiliation failed to break their spirit. Once they return to their seats, a heavy, suffocating aura settles over the entire office floor. Lee Min-ho leans back into his desk chair with completely lifeless eyes, reflected on his black monitor, thoroughly exhausted by the toxic environment. With a heavy voice, the senior apologizes to Hanbit for exposing him to such an ugly display of authority. Hanbit quickly reassures him that it is no big deal, but Lee Min-ho explains the painful reason behind his deep guilt. The massive project forced onto him involves high-level development work that will consume every single minute of his day, leaving him completely unable to mentor, guide, or protect the fresh intern from their manager's endless wrath. Recalling the technical specs he glanced at when the papers dropped, Hanbit spots crucial terms related to gear industry mechanics and RP systems. Recognizing this exact setup from his extensive past experiences, our sharp-minded protagonist steps up with absolute confidence, offering his full assistance to conquer the complex workload and save his senior's sanity. As the grueling workday finally comes to an end, Hanbit steps outside into the warm glow of the evening sunset. Leaving the suffocating corporate battlefield behind for the night, our hero checks his phone while standing near the bus stop along the bustling street, reflecting on everything he observed during his explosive first day on the job. Suddenly, a loud and cheerful voice calls out across the sidewalk, snapping Hanbit right out of his deep thoughts. Looking up in mild surprise, he sees an energetic companion waving enthusiastically with a bright smile, bounding straight over to hear all about how his very first day as a real corporate intern went. Visibly running on complete empty after surviving a grueling first day under his tyrant manager, Hanbit lets his energetic companion pull him straight into a nearby coffee shop. Our exhausted protagonist can barely drag his heavy feet across the pavement, looking like a total walking corpse before finally stepping inside to take a much-needed breather and talk. Collapsing heavily onto the table in absolute defeat, our boy lets out a miserable groan, thoroughly crushed by the suffocating corporate atmosphere. He unloads his built-up rage to his companion, admitting he could easily fill an entire livestream doing nothing but swearing at his abusive team leader for the unbelievable toxic nightmare he just suffered through. Cutting right through his dark mood, his friend excitedly shoves a smartphone screen directly into his face. The chat inbox is packed with official recruitment inquiries from major gaming corporations following yesterday's broadcast, headlined by a prominent corporate giant offering an absurd starting salary of 100 million won to sign our hero immediately. Instead of celebrating the massive payday, Hanbit's expression instantly darkens into a terrifyingly sharp glare. He firmly plants both hands on the table and looms directly over his companion, reading right through his nervous body language and demanding he drop the innocent act to spill the real reason behind pushing these sudden corporate job offers. With the tension rising by the second, our sharp protagonist intimidatingly asks if he truly wants him abandoning their shared plans for a big corporate job. As his companion panics and scrambles to apologize, Hanbit aggressively clamps both hands onto his head, physically squeezing his scalp to force out every last hidden thought. Nursing his throbbing head, the panicked young partner finally surrenders and reveals his genuine intentions. He explains that knowing Hanbit's ongoing financial struggles, he desperately wanted to help him land a top-tier career, hoping an eye-watering corporate salary would permanently fix his severe money problems without making it feel like a pity handout. Softening his dark demeanor, Hanbit genuinely thanks his loyal friend for looking out for him, acknowledging that 100 million won is a monumental sum of money for anyone. However, looking him straight in the eyes, our hero calmly reminds his partner Yeonwoo that he was the very person who originally invited him to jump into the RP world together. Looking up with complete earnestness across the coffee table, Yeonwoo comes clean to his exhausted senior. He admits that while RP is an undeniably massive phenomenon sweeping the entire gaming world, throwing himself into that harsh virtual environment never suited his personal abilities, leaving him thoroughly overwhelmed by the punishing difficulty every single time he tried playing. Recalling his own grueling struggles inside the game, the young partner explains how he quickly hit an impossible brick wall. But watching our sharp-minded protagonist handle those exact life-or-death trials with flawless strategic mastery completely blew his mind, proving to him that Hanbit is truly the brightest, most legendary figure in the entire virtual realm. Rather than struggling on the brutal front lines himself, Yeonwoo realized his real calling was standing right beside his young as a camera operator and stream producer. He desperately wants to capture every heart-pounding battle, mind-blowing tactical play, and unbelievable victory, broadcasting their electrifying adventures to build an unstoppable global community of hype-filled gaming fans. Flashing a bright, confident smile across the table, the ambitious young partner finally drops his true ultimate master plan. Instead of selling out for a corporate job, he wants to build an elite multi-channel agency centered entirely around managing, expanding, and launching our returning hero to the absolute top of the global streaming world. Recounting their wildest gameplay battles, our boy's trusted companion remembers every adrenaline-pumping thrill of fighting right beside him. He insists on staying behind the camera to document every high-stakes raid from the sidelines, fully determined to share these legendary moments with a massive global audience. Having spent endless hours side by side mastering complex strategies and dissecting tactical guidebooks, their unbreakable synergy is impossible to deny. That shared history sparks his boldest proposal yet, launching an entire multi-channel network built around our hero's unstoppable gameplay skills to dominate the streaming market. Back in the present at a quiet cafe, the ambitious manager pitches a hybrid guild model combining real-world business with virtual immersion. Our hero smirks, recalling how his buddy brought up this exact plan during military service, but cuts straight to the chase by asking how this setup will bring in actual cash. Pulling out his smartphone, the manager shows off incredible ad revenue figures generated by their latest video uploads. Our protagonist has rapidly become the single most talked about creator on the entire platform, with their roleplay replay clips pinned directly at the top of the site's main showcase. He predicts that broadcasting these epic roleplay adventures will inspire thousands of new players to dive into the game and join their growing guild. He urges Hanbit to skip conventional corporate jobs and focus entirely on expanding their stream into a dominant gaming force. Instead of treating our boy like a hired worker, he offers him equal co-ownership as co-CEO. As the waitress brings their coffee order, Hanbit accepts the deal with a confident grin, trusting his friend to handle company management while he prepares for battle. Beneath his calm demeanor, Hanbit harbors a far more critical objective than building an online stream. Diving into this virtual realm isn't merely about helping a friend. It represents his absolute last remaining pathway to breach the dimensional boundary and force his way back into Erfurt. As his reflection ripples inside his coffee cup, memories of 55 horrifying regressions flash across his mind. He endured agonizing deaths over 55 brutal lives under the goddess's sinister design, and conquering this game is his final opportunity to uncover why he was forced to suffer. Right as they finalize their co-ownership deal, the manager's smartphone begins vibrating incessantly with a flood of urgent alerts. Scrolling through an overwhelming wave of community notifications, his cheerful composure completely shatters when he realizes an unprecedented crisis has erupted online, prompting him to instantly jump up and dial his contacts in total panic. Desperately waiting for the line to connect, he shouts into his phone with mounting frustration while our boy looks on in bewilderment. A massive scandal is threatening to derail their streaming venture before they can even launch their main strategy. He reveals that an elite German gaming corporation called Regression has officially declared a ruthless monopoly over the high-value Oxbell quest. Spearheaded by a deadly Vanguard Ranger spotted in Edlin, the syndicate is aggressively locking down target zones, decreasing reward ranks on a first-come basis, and hoarding all top-tier loot. To make matters far worse, toxic rumors are exploding across community forums claiming our hero secretly conspired with Rasuhan to hijack the event for personal gain. Hearing that he is being framed as a dirty scammer leaves our former regressor utterly stunned by the sheer audacity of the accusation. Out in the virtual fields, enraged players are throwing furious fits toward the sky, cursing out both Rasuhan and our boy's channel for ruining the entire game. While most casual players are left completely empty-handed, one lucky adventurer barely managed to snag a rare skill book before the reward pool dried up. As party members turn on each other in heated arguments over the limited reward structure, panic spreads as even basic bomb slimes stop spawning across the region. The furious player base erupts into total mutiny, demanding an emergency broadcast from our protagonist to answer for the server-wide disaster. Back at the cafe, our unbothered general calmly inquires about the actual corporate footprint and combat strength of this new rival. His friend warns that Rasuhan isn't just a small-time operation. Their lead ranger commands an impressive combat power of 9,000, ranking among the server's heavy hitters. Facing a mega corporation backed by high-level rankers, any regular gamer would back down from a fight. But our battle-hardened veteran merely crosses his arms with a razor-sharp smirk, already formulating a lethal counter-strategy to completely annihilate Rasuhin's monopoly and claim victory on his own terms. Before launching their emergency response stream, our hero instructs his bewildered manager to delay the broadcast just a bit longer. He needs time to independently investigate the root cause behind the server's sudden slime shortage, leaving his manager sipping coffee in utter confusion. Back at his apartment, our battle-hardened veteran rapidly flips through the dense pages of his physical strategy guidebook. He scans through forgotten map coordinates and secret monster spawn notes, fully determined to track down exactly where all the missing field monsters have vanished to. Locking his eyes onto a critical entry inside the manual, a razor-sharp smirk sweeps across his face. Our boy has officially uncovered the hidden game mechanic behind the missing slimes, and he knows exactly what needs to be done. Stepping back into the virtual world, our former regressor materializes on the digital grid with absolute resolve. He sets out into the wild terrain without a single moment's delay, striding forward with total confidence as he prepares to execute his deadly counterplan. Navigating through the thick wilderness, our general arrives at a secluded cave entrance hidden deep within the forest. The dungeon location is situated precisely where his past regression memories said it would be, confirming his tactical strategy is right on target. Deep inside the subterranean tunnel, volatile green bomb slimes coat the damp rocky floor. Moving with master-level precision, our tactical genius carefully navigates around the explosive creatures to avoid triggering a massive chain reaction, before abruptly halting his stride in the dark. Our hero knows bomb slimes only swarm into a single location under one specific condition. Gazing upward into the cavernous darkness, his tactical foresight is instantly validated as he comes face to face with the true monster behind the server shortage, a colossal level 7 bomb slime king. By nature, the Slime King constantly emits an aura that attracts and absorbs smaller slimes to expand its massive body. However, the staggering volume of monsters being drawn into this cavern is completely abnormal, proving an artificial force has illegally manipulated the region's monster spawns. Spotting a metallic glint wedged high into the cavern wall, our unbothered leader inspects the device. It is a rare monster lure from northern dungeons, emblazoned directly with Rasuhin's official insignia. Rasuhin intentionally planted this lure inside the Slime King's den to hoard every monster on the server, framing our hero for their corrupt monopoly. Combining a high-rank monster lure with the Slime King's natural absorption trait created an artificial black hole across the entire region. By trapping every field spawn inside one subterranean cavern, Rasuhin deliberately engineered the server-wide shortage to line their own corporate pockets. Exposing their dirty scheme, our battle-hardened general realizes this illegal bottleneck is actually his ultimate tactical shortcut. Instead of disarming the lure, Lilbro chooses absolute violence. Channeling a scorching fireball directly into his hand, the former regressor hurls the fiery spell straight into the volatile horde and dives clear of the strike zone. The flaming orb punches straight into the Slime King's unstable core, instantly igniting the endless stockpile of explosive monsters packed inside its body. A catastrophic inferno erupts through the underground chamber, triggering a violent chain reaction that completely incinerates the entire slime horde in one blinding, apocalyptic detonation. When the blinding flash fades, an unprecedented flood of system notifications hits his interface, awarding over 7,000 experience points and rare slime-slaying titles. Synergizing with his legendary regressor passive, the massive extermination instantly boosts his combat stats while granting 4 immediate level-ups. Sweating wide-eyed at the absurd mountain of high-tier loot left behind, our strategic mastermind realizes Rasuhin's greedy trap just handed him an absolute jackpot. The secret cave footage explodes online after Yeonwoo uploads it anonymously, driving the player community into a frenzy against the tyrannical Rasuhin guild. While the forums flood with hatred, our master strategist digs through his ancient guidebook to track down an obscure NPC named Zentromber. See, Zentromber was the weary miner who personally dug out the cavern before the Bomb Slime King stole his territory. By linking this obscure worker to the site, Hanbit pinpoints the Slime King's exact hideout and breaches the dungeon without wasting a single move. However, a critical anomaly bugs him. While Zentromber's name is clearly listed in the guidebook, any record of the cavern is completely absent. Adventurer logged vast amounts of information, yet key sections remain ambiguous or deviate from reality. It feels as if a central gear was intentionally removed from the record. As he advances through the forest, our boy begins to question the true identity and sinister motives lurking behind Adventurer A. Elsewhere, an instructor breaks down the fundamental flaw of magic skills. To unlock higher ranks, players must max out their proficiency through an atrocious, painful grind, forcing almost everyone to abandon magic for physical combat trees. That is until our regression veteran completely shatters all expectations. Hitting maximum proficiency in a single day leaves the trainer utterly stunned, unable to fathom such impossible speed. The magic instructor completely breaks down in hysterical denial, desperately clinging to Hanbit while pleading for this unbelievable breakthrough to be an April Fool's joke. He insists that mastering rank 1 magic demands at least an entire month of painful grind, aggressively grabbing our boy's face and screaming to inspect his status window. The instant the status window confirms the impossible rank 1 achievement, the broken teacher collapses to his knees in utter defeat. Hysterically crying out that the system must be glitched, he wallows in agony while our regression veteran casually shrugs off the fuss and walks away without looking back. Rather than broadcasting his broken progression to the public for easy attention, Hanbit instructs Loafer to keep the magic proficiency quiet on stream. Our master strategist is saving this trump card for a far more lethal surprise, aiming to drop the hammer directly onto the corrupt Rasuhan guild. Moving indoors to begin the live broadcast, Loafer is immediately met with a wall of angry chat comments, accusing them of secretly colluding with the enemy. He frantically tries to settle the crowd down, pleading that they have absolutely zero ties to Rasuhan and will bring definitive proof very soon. While the audience tunes in for the upcoming raid, Hanbit takes a quiet moment to speak with the shopkeeper about her missing ward, Leah. Hearing that the young girl ran off again, our little general calmly comforts the frustrated woman, reassuring her that rebellious kids are normal and that they will all be living together soon. However, the moment Hanbit turns away, a subtle, sinister smirk creeps across the shopkeeper's face, revealing that dangerous hidden motives are lurking behind her calm exterior. Inside the potion shop, Hanbit casually asks Oxbell for the next magic spellbook. The stream chat immediately scoffs at his rookie confidence, expecting her to shut him down with an outrageous proficiency lock. But to everyone's utter shock, the shopkeeper smiles brightly and hands over the rank 2 spellbook without a single question. Stepping back to inspect the artifact, our boy opens the glowing tome in plain view of the watching players outside. Since he is the first person in the world to unlock this secret feat, the system instantly upgrades his reward from epic to unique, bestowing upon him the deadly rank 2 fire burst spell. Loafer completely loses his mind on stream, wildly screaming the news of the unique rank spell to the stunned audience. Before our master strategist heads out, Oxbell offers one final tip, telling him to seek out the magic research lab in the distant city of Ifrit whenever his progression stalls. The second they push open the front door, they step directly into an ambush. The corrupt Rasuhan guild has completely surrounded the building, swarming the path with heavy forces while their hooded lead commander glares down our heroes with murderous intent, sending poor Loafer into an absolute panic. Yet our regression veteran does not flinch for a single microsecond. The 9-year-old menace casually walks right through the middle of the hostile sea, brushing shoulders with the hooded leader while tossing out a cold, disrespecting taunt to relax their brows before strolling away with a sinister grin. Driven wild by greed and terrified of falling behind, the Rasuhan mob completely ignores our boy and storms straight into the shop. They swarm the counter like wild beasts, aggressively barking orders at the shopkeeper to surrender every remaining spellbook in her possession. Outside the shop, bitter players watch and discuss as the tyrannical Rasuhan guild monopolizes every spellbook in sight. Resting nearby in the grass, Hanbit casually turns to Loafer and asks him what he thinks the real difference is between Rasuhan's reckless greed and his own master plan. Inside, the hooded commander gathers his members with their stolen tomes, ordering everyone to open their spellbooks on his precise countdown. Watching from a distance, our little general casually stands up with a cold smirk, knowing exact catastrophe is about to strike. The instant the count hits 3, the greedy mob flips open their spellbooks simultaneously. But as the pages turn, a sinister smirk spreads across our regression veteran's face, quietly declaring showtime as his trap snaps shut. Instant hell erupts inside the shop as every single spellbook ignites into violent magical infernos, engulfing the arrogant players in blazing fire. Panicking in utter agony, they desperately cast wind magic to douse the flames, only for the cursed fire to burn even brighter. Veins pop on Oxbell's forehead as her patience completely snaps, furiously roaring at the burning fools to get the hell out of her establishment. Blown out into the yard, the scorched guild members collapse onto the wooden deck, screaming in utter ruin. Watching the fiery disaster unfold, our 9-year-old menace mockingly clasps his hands together in fake prayer, sarcastically lamenting what a tragic waste it is for all those books to burn to a crisp while poor Loafer stands beside him in utter shock. Amidst the chaotic carnage, a terrified Rasuhan subordinate stumbles over to his hooded leader, frantically pointing out that the system quest reward has suddenly altered. See, attempting to force open advanced spellbooks without meeting the system requirements triggers an automatic self-destruct trap. The stream chat erupts in outrage after realizing Rasuhan's reckless greed downgraded the quest rewards for the entire player base. Standing amidst the scorched ruin, the hooded commander frantically demands a status update from his crew, only to learn that not a single member successfully claimed the magic spell. Seething with anger, the high-ranking ranger turns around and marches straight toward our heroes. Poor Loafer panics as the terrifying ranker closes in, but our 9-year-old menace barely blinks, keeping his arms crossed with absolute composure. Stepping directly up to our boy, the commander coldly corners the rookie to demand a little chat. A hostile ranger aggressively corners our returnee right out in the open, forcefully demanding to know how a mere newcomer managed to clear a quest that baffled every veteran. Handbit just smirks right back with supreme confidence, looking completely unbothered by the hunter's imposing presence as public tension mounts. When pressed on how he alone succeeded where everyone else failed, our boy unleashes a wave of pure disrespect. He shrugs off the aggressive interrogation with a playful grin, taunting the high-ranking ranger by stating that a true veteran should have easily figured out the secret long before a beginner. The ranger's temper boils over while thousands of live viewers watch the drama unfold. Over 50 top contenders failed the initial trial, getting scorched to the ground and permanently losing their shot at a hero-grade reward, leaving him convinced that Handbit relied on some illegal cheat to hog the victory. Instead of backing down from the accusation, Handbit proudly admits his success was no stroke of luck. As the ranger grits his teeth in mounting fury, our master strategist takes complete control of the conversation, dropping a sharp question about skill proficiency that catches the entire audience off guard. He asks whether any of them actually bothered to max out their basic skill proficiency before trying to claim high-tier reward spellbooks. The ranger stands paralyzed in utter confusion as Handbit casually breaks down the essential system mechanic that every single greedy veteran blindly overlooked in their rush for power. Completely losing his cool, the furious ranger screams that system conditions are identical for all players, loudly accusing Handbit of somehow bypassing the requirements. But our guy casually scratches his head and drops a devastating bomb on the entire crowd, revealing he actually grinded out every single point of proficiency. The ranger freezes in total flabbergasted while the live chat completely explodes with laughter. Offering to display his stats directly on the broadcast screen, Handbit viciously exposes the arrogance of corporate elites who foolishly assumed shortcuts could ever replace true honest grind. He has them completely cornered. The live system status display exposes the undeniable truth to the entire broadcast. Every single basic skill is legitimately maxed out to rank 1 with gold stars. Completely backed into a corner, the furious ranger screams about reporting him for illegal hacks. But our boy just smirks right back, mockingly daring the arrogant ranker to go ahead since he has absolutely nothing to hide. Realizing he has zero proof to back up his wild accusations, the ranger grits his teeth in helpless humiliation while thousands of live viewers witness his total defeat. Handbit lands one final sharp jab, casually advising the frustrated elite to stop trying to manipulate the system and actually play the game properly before strolling away completely victorious. Meanwhile, back inside the instructor's house, a swarm of greedy players aggressively corners Oxbell, frantically shouting dialogue choices and trying to force a secret quest trigger. Watching the noisy chaos from a safe distance, our returnee knows they're impatient, entitled demands will only wreck their standing with the strict veteran teacher. See, across his 55 brutal regressions, Handbit learned the hard way that Oxbell fiercely despises shortcut seekers. Having watched countless overconfident fools perish in battle after rushing for high-tier spells, the unyielding teacher strictly forbids advancing to new magic until basic fundamentals are practiced to absolute perfection, smacking anyone who tries to cheat. In a past regression cycle, our boy was kicked right out onto the dirt the second he tried cutting corners himself. Because Oxbell's core personality and strict principles remain completely unchanged even inside the game world, the ranger's constant whining is actively tanking his hidden favorability stats while Handbit leisurely strolls down the path. Yanwu suddenly breaks into a panic, realizing that publicly humiliating a top-tier ranker could unleash a toxic wave of hate from his massive fanbase. But our mastermind gives a sly thumbs up, and sinisterly reminds the terrified streamer that his personal channel broadcasts the whole fight, leaving Lil Bro to face the angry mob while live donation rewards keep rolling in. Stepping away from the instructor's territory, Handbit leads the way back toward the local village shop. When Yanwu asks why they aren't heading straight for Master Balder, our returnee calmly explains that proper preparation comes first, refusing to rush into their next objective without getting the necessary gear. Arriving at the town square, the duo comes to a sudden halt as a massive mob of players completely blocks the streets. Yanwu gasps in total shock at the insane gathering, frantically pointing Handbit's attention toward a famous high-tier ranker holding court right in the center of the crowd. Standing at the center of attention is Rafina, a green-robed ranker celebrated across the entire server as one of the rare few capable of wielding spirit magic. While the live broadcast chat erupts into endless fanboying and praise for her appearance, our boy observes her with a cool, calculating gaze. Yanwu explains that elementalists are practically non-existent because players believe spirits only choose a favored few, leading most people to give up after years of failing. But staring down at his bandaged hand, Hanbit immediately spots a massive flaw in the gaming community's basic understanding of spirit skills. See, across his 55 grueling regression cycles, our veteran strategist vividly remembers the precise moment he first formed a contract with an elemental spirit. He knows the real system mechanics inside out, recognizing that every player in this era has completely misinterpreted how spirit bonding actually works. When Hanbit presses for details on Rafina's actual combat prowess, Yanwu reveals she is ranked in the top 4,000 strictly because of her rank 6 water magic, while her spirit skills are completely stuck at rank 3. In reality, her prestigious elementalist title is nothing more than a glorified honorary badge. As the arrogant ranker smugly prepares to demonstrate her spirit power for her cheering admirers, Yanwu turns and asks if Hanbit holds any interest in spirit magic himself. But our mastermind is already formulating a brilliant strategy to exploit the hidden truth that every top player has blindly overlooked. Rafina steps right into the center of the town square to showcase her rare spirit magic, surrounding herself with a glowing aura of elemental energy. The surrounding crowd of players gasps in total awe, completely convinced that forming a contract with spirits relies strictly on born talent rather than standard spellcasting. As dual water and wind spirits manifest around the high-ranking elementalist, the broadcast stream completely explodes into non-stop praise over the dazzling visual display. But while the audience drools over the flashy spectacle, our returnee carefully analyzes the twin spirits, noting she holds contracts across 2 separate attributes. Yanwu stands completely spellbound by the shimmering lights, but our boy cuts straight through the romantic hype, sharply questioning how long she has been stuck at rank 3. When Lil Bro admits the elite ranker hasn't progressed in 10 long months, Hanbit knows proficiency isn't her real bottleneck. Yanwu quietly breaks down how the game's elite players operate, explaining that top vanguards guard their builds like top-secret weapons. Because crucial realm quests grant exclusive ownership to a single winner, top rankers keep their strategic information locked tight inside castle walls to prevent any competitors from snatching rewards. Staring after her as she walks off, our master strategist feels a quiet sense of familiarity with spirit contractors, remembering the grueling methods he used to forge his own elemental bonds across 55 brutal regression cycles. Snapping right back to immediate priorities, our boy grabs his dramatic streaming partner and pivots back toward the village market to prepare for battle. A flustered Yanwu stumbles along in surprise, frantically demanding to know what exact materials they need to purchase before tackling their next objective. With a sharp, confident smirk and his next master plan already mapped out, Hanbit playfully shushes him, assuring the young streamer that all will be revealed the moment they step inside the shop. After hauling a mountain of random gear out into the wilderness, Hanbit leads his companions straight to their destination. The sidekick looks around in utter confusion, but our regression veteran merely smirks, declaring that they have finally arrived at the secret location. They step up to the edge of a dizzying abyss known as Where the Wind Gathers, the hidden gateway needed to track down the legendary wind swordsman in Edland Forest. Looking down the sheer vertical drop, the panicked sidekick nervously remarks that this place looks less like a quest area and more like the entrance to the afterlife. Standing at the perilous cliffside, the terrified companion frantically asks how they are supposed to climb down to the bottom. Sensing an opportunity for chaotic content, the stream chat immediately starts proposing insane shortcuts down the steep mountain face. The viewers back up their words by registering a paid challenge mission, offering cash if they execute a cord-free bungee jump into the canyon. The young sidekick freaks out instantly, shouting that the audience is telling them to commit suicide and begging his leader to reject the dangerous stunt. When another viewer boosts the bounty on the challenge, Hanbit goes completely silent with a terrifying, greedy grin spread across his face. Recognizing that dangerous expression, the kid tries to retreat, but a steel grip firmly clamps onto his shoulder. He screams in absolute terror that pain sensations are real in this game, but our cash-hungry protagonist doesn't give a single damn. Without a single second of hesitation, the absolute menace dives headfirst off the cliff edge, dragging his screaming partner right into the open sky. The stream chat explodes in excitement as the crazy duo rockets downwards in freefall. Plummeting at breakneck speed down the canyon wall, the poor kid flails around in sheer desperation, convinced they are about to splatter against the rocks. Meanwhile, our fearless streamer grins like a manic demon, totally composed as he controls their plunge into the abyss. Plummeting headfirst into the dizzying abyss, Lil Bro screams his lungs out in total panic while our regression veteran remains ice cold, carefully scanning the sheer rook walls for their exact landing coordinate. Right before impact, Hanbit spots the hidden glowing wind portal swirling at the bottom and skillfully steers their breakneck freefall directly into the shimmering vortex. They slam down into the canyon floor with a heavy impact, taking a hit point penalty as the poor kid faceplants hard into the dirt, weeping hysterically that he genuinely thought his life was over. Completely unfazed by his partner's sheer trauma, our cash-hungry protagonist casually brushes off the dust and celebrates their successful challenge payout. Pulling out a glowing green entry ticket, Hanbit reveals the sinister truth behind his crazy jump. Taking this drop without the ticket guarantees instant death upon landing. He flashes a terrifying sadistic grin, gleefully anticipating the gruesome sight of thousands of stalkers and rival Rashtan guild members blindly leaping off the cliff into an absolute slaughter. Gazing up toward the cavernous peak, the duo spots a mysterious figure perched high at the summit, the legendary Wind Swordsman, Master of Balder. Believing the hardest part of the hidden quest is already behind them, the overly naive sidekick practically leaps with excitement, eager to charge ahead and claim the server's very first discovery. Sensing hidden danger ahead, Hanbit smoothly manipulates his young companion, encouraging the kid to step forward first so he can capture prime camera angles for his stream. Moved to tears by what he mistakes for selfless brotherly generosity, the clueless rookie happily marches straight toward the zone while our mastermind ushers him forward. Cheering in pure triumph, Lilbro dashes forward to claim glory, only for a lethal trap to trigger in the blink of an eye. A high-speed arrow impales him straight through the mouth mid-sentence, leaving the poor rookie paralyzed in sheer horror and excruciating agony as blood trickles down his face. The terrified sidekick screams in absolute horror, loudly accusing our regression veteran of intentionally using him as live bait for the deadly wall trap. Hanbit just brushes off the complaint with a shameless smirk, coldly reminding the kid that he survived the hit so there is no reason to whine. Before the rookie can even process the betrayal, Hanbit draws his bow and looses a high-speed arrow right past his partner's ear. The terrified kid instantly freezes in place, convinced he is being executed for talking back, only to realize the shot disarmed an incoming lethal volley. A vicious barrage of hidden projectiles detonates further inside the narrow canyon passage, slamming harmlessly against the stone walls. With the lethal hazard neutralized, our boy charges right through the danger zone, casually admitting he triggered the traps early to guarantee a clean path forward. Suddenly, a violent tremor violently rocks the cavern floor as a massive stone boulder comes rolling straight down the narrow corridor. The young sidekick completely loses his mind in total panic, shrieking that the enclosed rock walls leave them absolutely zero room to dodge the crushing boulder. Completely unbothered by the giant threat, our mastermind coolly sneers that dodging is unnecessary before unleashing a devastating fire burst directly into the ground. The catastrophic flame explosion utterly shatters the stone floor, dropping the massive boulder straight down into the newly created pit. Glancing at his stream feed, Hanbit reads chat updates confirming that hundreds of rival Rashtan guild members are still blindly jumping off the cliff outside into an absolute death trap. Flashing a wicked smirk, our menace urges his traumatized companion to keep moving deeper into the zone. As they press forward, endless arrays of automated defense traps trigger along the corridor, raining high-speed arrows from every angle. Yet our regression veteran glides through the lethal barrage with absolute god-tier precision, effortlessly parrying and deflecting every single incoming projectile while fearlessly advancing toward their ultimate objective. When Lilbro notices his leader has run completely out of arrows, Hanbit casually puts away his bow and unsheathes his blade without skipping a single beat. Showing absolute composure, he commands his nervous sidekick to watch their surroundings closely as they march straight through the narrow hazard zone. A devastating barrage of flying axes, spiked maces, and sharp arrows erupts from the stone walls, sending the panicked rookie into full-time commentary mode for the stream feed. Unfazed by the incoming chaos, our boy puts on an insane exhibition, deflecting every single projectile with high-speed blue sword strikes. Out of nowhere, our veteran barks a sharp warning right before massive steel spears thrust upwards straight through the cavern floor. The terrified rookie barely dodges the surprise attack and hyperventilates in sheer horror, while Hanbit nonchalantly sidesteps the lethal spike trap without taking a hit. When the bewildered sidekick asks how he can possibly predict every trap before it triggers, Hanbit just flashes a casual smile. See, after enduring 55 full cycles of horrific deaths in his past regressions, every single danger coordinate is automatically burned into his instincts. Right on cue, another crushing boulder tumbles down from the cavern ceiling straight above them. Refusing to break his stride, our reckless streamer unleashes a high-powered fireburst overhead, instantly blasting the boulder into fine dust, while his poor companion cowers from the falling debris. Footsteps echo along the pathway as the exhausted rookie whines that he has heard the phrase, "We're almost there a million times already," stubbornly insisting he won't be tricked again. The kid pouts in frustration until Hanbit just smirks and tells him to look up. Perched quietly atop a sheer rock spire, the legendary Wind Swordsman sits surrounded by swirling wind and glowing blue crystals. The rookie's eyes instantly light up with pure hype as he gazes at the master, frantically asking if they are finally about to acquire a high-tier secret skill. Instead of offering a high-tier quest, the legendary master coldly orders them to turn back right now. As the chat loses its mind, Lil Bro breaks down in tears, terrified they just risked their lives for nothing. But looking at our veteran's calm, knowing smile, the real trial has only just begun.